So subhanAllah, there's four main segments that we want to cover this evening, even though there were 3 bullets on the pamphlet that advertised this evening's program. This one didn't feature. It's called planning and preparation. So it's 2 slides with a few bullets, subhanAllah, but these are literally game changers. If you can execute some of this, which is very easy, it will change how your trip is run, and inshallah will make a lot of it seamless. So here goes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the first is a neglected sunnah of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In all of this discussion around Hajj, you had to go through very complicated, sophisticated decision making, and there's all these tools that people have provided in terms of choosing your package and your operator, people's reviews and online reviews and all of that. And then inshallah, there's also been the orientation. Some of them have happened already. Some will happen over this weekend, the next weekend, by your respective Hajj operators. This neglected sunnah, sometimes we forget to mention. We know that the practice of the companions of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad was that before they departed on any journey, the last place they would visit was the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not unique to Hajj. So in your preparation for departure, factor in an additional 10 or 15 minutes, number one. I think in this area, masajid are open 24 hours, right? In other parts of the country, not so, due to crime, etc. So the last place you want to visit is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you want to observe 2 rakat salah, nafal salah, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you ease and acceptance on your journey. Similarly, at the tail end of your trip, when you return home, the first place you want to visit in your suburb before returning home is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something that we reminded of today in our preparation for Hajj. But even when you're planning your next holiday, I know Dubai is the new Durban, right? So your next Dubai trip, keep in mind this great sunnah of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The next we'll spend a few minutes on. So on your travel of Hajj, naturally you have to change currency. And there's lots of tricks and hacks around whether you should take out a Capitec account or you should open up an FNB global account. And I'm sure you probably do all of those discussions, right? But what people don't share with you is the spiritual forex. So what's the spiritual forex? The tempo, the temperament, the frequency on every leg of your journey spiritually is different. They say an important thing to addressing an audience is to know the audience. Now, I don't know many of you. I know one of you. I'm guilty because you've tried to reach out to me 2 or 3 times and I haven't responded. Nonetheless, so just by show of hands, how many are traveling for 6 weeks? 5 weeks? Short timelines, no leave. 4 weeks? 3 weeks? You need to change to 4. I'll tell you why it is down. Good. 2 weeks? Okay, mashallah. That would mean that none of you are going to Makkah al-Mukarramah first, right? So if you're doing 5, going to Makkah al-Mukarramah first. Double Umrah. Okay, lovely. So the presentation is premised on those going to Madinah al-Munawwarah first, but we need to connect and you need to keep in touch with Hajj Harfan, subhanAllah, to tell you particularly about the nuance of doing the double Umrah. So spiritual forex. The first leg of many of our journeys is to the city of Madinah al-Munawwarah. So if I had to ask you, what would be your dominant adhkar on the way to Madinah al-Munawwarah? Incorrect. So your durood would start from now. Why? Because subhanAllah, you want to show Allah your shawq, your desire to greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in person. So you should set yourself a target from now of how many durood and salawat you're going to recite. Remember, we're not worried about quantity, we're worried about quality. So something that is manageable but consistent, based on the hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a small action done consistently is better, subhanAllah, than doing greater actions. Good. So the first spiritual forex in that sense would be that between here and reaching Madinah al-Munawwarah, you want to recite Surah Al-Kawthar 1,000 times, if not more. This we learn as tajruba and experience. It's not from Sunnah, from our pious predecessors, right? If I didn't fulfill on this, Allah forgive me. If, subhanAllah, you had to be invited to anyone's place for a meal, would you go empty-handed? No. You would take some Token of appreciation. If I ask why, you'll say because I learned that from my parents. But the actual underpinning is why you want to show them this as a token of appreciation for their hospitality. So you can't stop at the Woolies food outlet at the local engine or PP or wherever and buy a 6-pack cupcakes and take to Madinah al-Munawwar, right? So what is the offering that you are going to provide to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? This is the recitation of Surah Al-Kawthar. Take some time to focus and check up on the meaning of Surah Al-Kawthar, and inshallah it will make you understand the relationship between why this is recommended and who you are visiting. So this is, subhanAllah, a show of appreciation for being extended the honor by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to visit Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's your first spiritual forex. In Madinah al-Munawwara, what is your spiritual forex? You've answered. Durood and salawat upon Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All the time, every time, except when you're in the bathroom, when you're in salah, when you recite the Quran, right? At any other time, if you're not involved in any other ibadah, you should be reciting durood and salawat. You should go to sleep reciting durood and salawat, and subhanAllah, wake up reciting durood and salawat. As you manage to tap into the spiritual frequency of the different legs of the journey, Allah will open and unearth to you, subhanAllah, the treasures and the gems that exist in these cities. That's your second spiritual forex. I know we're supposed to focus on Madinah al-Munawwara, but I'll go through all the spiritual forex for the entire trip, and inshallah, Dr. Maulana will pick up on them tomorrow. The next leg of your journey will be to Makkah al-Mukarramah. What would the spiritual forex be? So you'll be in the state of Ihram, the recitation of the Talbiyah. Good, so that's the third leg of your journey. The fourth leg of your journey is just stay in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So it's from the time you complete your Umrah up until you done your Ihram for Hajj. What should we recite? If Madinah al-Munawwara represents Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the excellence of his example, what would Makkah al-Mukarramah represent? Allah. So Tawheed, the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good. So the spiritual forex for Makkah al-Mukarramah is the recitation of the first and the second kalimat, the first kalima and the second kalima, as our children would learn. Right? The Shahadatain, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasul. This is like your dominant adhkar when you're in Makkah al-Mukarramah. Naturally, during the Hajj days, we know what is prescribed to be recited, etc., and that will be shared with you tomorrow. Maulana mentioned in the introduction that Hajj is fard, and it's a fard that you get that gets to be a fard only once on. So like this is literally once in a lifetime, right? For the younger brothers and sisters, we will say YOLO. You only live once. You only get to make Hajj once. When we completed the month of Ramadan, each of us would have had an introspection surrounding the Ramadan that passed, and we would have said, Alhamdulillah, I did well this Ramadan. Or we would have said, Inshallah, next year I'll do a little bit better. You don't get the opportunity of doing that with regards to Hajj, because it will never ever be about Hajj again. So Allah, in His unique wisdom, has created certain adhkar, etc. for us, where we can deal with the potential psychological trauma of regret and remorse. What would your spiritual forex be on the return from Makkah al-Mukarramah, from your Hajj trip? Astaghfar. Good, so we've got 5. Surah Al-Kawthar to Madinah al-Munawwara, Durood and Salawat in Madinah al-Munawwara, Talbiyah to Makkah al-Mukarramah, first and second kalimat in Makkah al-Mukarramah, and Astaghfar on the return. Have scripts for medication handy. Anyone on chronic medication? Does the doctors pull it? SubhanAllah, so you want a physical script and you want an electronic script. So we'll speak about why physical and electronic. Just now, you're going to carry a supply of your medication, but you're also going to carry the script along with it, because the protocol in terms of schedules of medication in different countries are different. And there's a risk that the medication may spoil. So you want to make sure that you have a script handy if we need to assist you with a replacement. And you want to keep a week's supply in your hand luggage, in case your luggage gets way late. So not a day's supply, a week's supply. Next, cross pack. Anyone know what it means to cross pack? So subhanAllah, traveling as the default, a husband and a wife, male and female. There may be people traveling as maharim for sisters and mothers, etc. But in each check-in piece of luggage, there should be clothing items for all the travelers in that room or that family. So if you waylay one bag, it's not like, oh, Abdurrahman needs to go and buy a whole new wardrobe. Understand? So we mitigate for these type of risks. So that's the idea behind cross-pack. Load scans of all the documentation, necessary documentation on your device. I can make this joke here, right? You're going to make photocopies of photocopies of photocopies, and then definitely because you have some ethnic Asian background, you're going to put it in plastic filing sleeves, right? Okay, so you moved a little bit beyond that now, mashallah. So make sure you have electronic copies of all the important documentation on your device. Now that's there, but then you got the reservation for the hotel voucher on email and the flight ticket, subhanAllah, they sent to you into your whichever smartphone you're using, into the passbook, and something else is sitting somewhere else. So how do we overcome this? I'll share with you just now. Take physical pictures of your luggage. So take your luggage after it's packed, put it against something where you can gauge dimension. So maybe a table, right? So you can see, this bag is more or less the height of the table, or it's 10 centimeters lower than the table, etc. And you're going to store this on the same device. Where are we going to store this? I'll tell you just now. Carry copies of your passport and visa to Rika yourself. So now they use biometrics. It's kind of linked, subhanAllah, to your visa number, etc. But maybe you just want to carry a copy. Like I said, the plastic filing sleeves. You want to carry a copy as something that's safe. Now this is the game changer. You take all of this important documentation and you store it on a WhatsApp group that you create between yourself and the person traveling with you. That WhatsApp group is not for chatting. There's no messages that go between the members on the WhatsApp group. So say it's yourself and your wife. So it's sister and her husband, or mahram. You store all the important documentation in one place. So recall and recount when you've traveled previously. And you're asking, but where is this reservation? Where is that voucher? Now you have it all in one repository. So if you're going to be using the high-speed rail train, the moment you get the ticket, you drop it on this WhatsApp group. So all your documentation linked to the trip, subhanAllah, is in one single repository. I'm using WhatsApp because it's most likely the most used app by most of us. If you check your usage of your smartphone, you most probably use WhatsApp more than you use even the phone, right? So that, subhanAllah, would be the hack. So look at this with regards to your luggage. What's the reason for this? The likelihood of waylaying your luggage is extremely high. Who hasn't purchased luggage yet for the Hajj? Who hasn't purchased? Okay, good. So most of you, your luggage is black, gray, and navy blue. Isn't it? Yeah. So if you had the chance to purchase luggage, then you do something fancy like this and make sure that you have neon green zippers so it kind of stands out. Now the reason for taking the pictures is if your luggage gets waylaid, there's this whole sheaf of lost luggage claim forms that you would need to fill out. And the person who has to run through all of that knows like there's literally thousands of bags here on the tarmac. How am I going to find these bags? But when you go and fill out that form and you tell the person, can you share with me an email address or a WhatsApp number? I'll push you a picture of my bag. Which ticket is the person going to pull first? Naturally, the one way he has a picture of the bag. That's going to be the easiest one, arguably, to find. Right? So that's the hack behind this. Good, subhanAllah. Let's go through a few more. Luggage wrap at the airport. What's the objective of luggage wrap at the airport? I bought brand new Louis Vuitton bags and I don't want them to be scuffed and scratched. No. The reason for luggage wrap is pilferage, particularly at OR Tambo International. Right? So there are case studies based on Jeddah airport as the worst for luggage handling in the world. And there's case studies based on OR Tambo International Airport as one of the worst for pilferage. So that's the reason we luggage wrap. But the bullet says luggage unwrap. Why? Okay. If you're packing smartly for Hajj, you don't need 46 kilos of supplies because you're allowed your standard luggage allowance 2 by 23 kilos, right? So you don't need 46 kilos per person unless you're taking, I don't know, biryani, everything else with it. So the smart way around this and to save on the cost is to pack your luggage in the medium-sized bag and pack the entire medium-sized bag in the large bag and check in one bag. And then you don't have to pay for luggage wrap. You're saying, okay, but this helps me on the northbound trip to Saudi Arabia. What happens when I'm returning? When you're returning, you still don't need luggage wrap because you take the ihram and you lay it out at the bottom of the bag and you place all your goods inside and you tie the ihram like you tie a bed sheet, right? So when they slip the pen into the zip or the knife into the zip and they insert the hand They can't grab any physical thing. They realize, waste of time, subhanAllah, to be focusing on this bag, let me catch the next one. So you save yourself a few hundred rand. Few hundred rand here, you're thinking maybe 200 rand for luggage wrap per bag in South Africa. In Saudi, it's 35 riyals. Any piece, any size, times 5. Right? You do the maths. So that's already, subhanAllah, some saving. Early arrival for special seating, additional check-in needs in terms of wheelchairs, if there's anyone in your family that requires those. Very important, the third bullet, request boarding passes up until your final destination. How many of you traveling for Hajj have never traveled before? Okay, mashallah. Even for those of us who traveled before, the idea around Hajj logistics, different to all your other travel, is that even your luggage is tagged differently. It's tagged Hajj. There's separate staff acquired even in the transit countries to handle your luggage, because it's out of the normal flow of business and operations. Good. So it's important that you try and secure your boarding passes till final destination, because as a Hajj passenger, which will feature on your electronic ticket, subhanAllah, they handle you and they deal with you differently. So when you come to Doha or Dubai and you want to get the second boarding pass, in their minds you're less priority, because you're just like another one of those Hujjaj who create havoc for us at this time of the year. So rather try and secure these boarding passes up front here in SA, subhanAllah, so you don't have to run around in the transit airport, especially for those who are traveling through certain airports for the first time, to get that second boarding pass, right? And the other reason is your connecting times on Hajj flights to give you the best value for your money are generally much shorter. So you don't have the time to get a second boarding pass. Custom clearance of electronic devices, laptops, video cameras. There's a beautiful sign here. It says no videography. Good, so subhanAllah. None of you should be taking devices like laptops with you, because you've dedicated this time to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm saying none as a general rule. Some of the brothers and sisters have opted to do shorter Hajj trips because they don't have the freedom and the liberty and the luxury of being able to go for longer. So in the time that you're traveling for Hajj, complete shutdown. Like other than your device to run your Hajj trip, subhanAllah, total digital detox. So catching up on email, etc., shouldn't be something that you're focusing on. No sharp objects in your onboarding luggage. That goes without saying. This is very important as a tool that you'll require on Hajj. It's important that you have a power bank. Reason being that there's very limited charging points on the actual days of Hajj, and that's when you're most reliant on your phone. Right? So not 100 rand, one of those free handouts that you get at some tech conference. A proper, good, reliable power bank is something that you'd require. You need to keep this in your carry-on luggage. Right. This is a hack of hacks. Each person traveling for Hajj should have a 3-meter charging cable. Not your normal 1-meter phone charging cable, a 3-meter charging cable. Reason for this is the hotels are not like your bedroom. So when you built your house, then you told them, if there isn't a plug point here, I'm not signing acceptance of this building, right? You can't do the same in an international hotel, number one. Number two, the charging points in Mina are 2 meters in the air. So if you're using your device, say for instance, to recite Quran, and now it's running low, so you don't want to be standing here, subhanAllah, for the whole evening reciting Quran. So 3-meter charging cable means that wherever you are, you have a little bit of an extra lead. And then this, I'm sure your operators will tell you about downloading the Nusuk app. So brothers and sisters, I've taken 15 minutes of my time already to share with you these 2 slides. Now we can get into, inshallah, the meat of the business. So subhanAllah, this is the view that your operator will have to receive you when you walk out of the airport in Madinah al-Munawwarah. Appreciating some of you may be landing in Jeddah, and from Jeddah you'll be taking either the train or the bus to Madinah al-Munawwarah, right? So those are the different configurations in terms of land arrangements once you land in Saudi Arabia. Okay, so when you arrive here, and this is very important, subhanAllah, know that on the air side, so what's the air side? Before you clear immigration, you have more control over yourself. It is important that you are cognizant of the salah times. So let's use the analogy of soccer. You don't want to be conceding own goals. To complete the fard of Hajj, you don't want to run the risk of losing a salah in its time. So we don't have the time now to speak with regards to qasr, salah, etc., which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. If you're not, please spend time with your local ulama, which they will cover. So when I'm saying you have more control on the air side before you clear immigration, there are bathrooms and there are places to observe salah. So if a salah time has come in, irrespective of what the operator or the operator's khadim or volunteer is saying, no, Haji, we need to go through. No, that you are responsible to Allah for your salah. Yes, you don't make tarawih, good, but you discharge of your salah before you clear immigration, if a salah time has come in. Once you clear immigration at Madinah Airport, they have 18 minutes for you to get your luggage and be on a bus. So if you're thinking I'm going to clear immigration and then I'll use the bathroom and then I'll make my asr, your asr is gone. Because by the time you get to the city of Madinah al-Munawwara, it will be past Maghrib. And you don't want to be coming to Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam having just missed the salah, as an example. So keep this in mind, inshallah. Let's go. Okay, so brothers and sisters, this is arguably the most important slide in today's entire presentation. Why does it start with Maghrib? You also are getting the opportunity of resetting the way you see your life. The hadith that we've heard cited, Man hajja falam yarfuth walam yafsuq raja'a kayawmin waladathu ummu, that the one who completes Hajj without any abomination, without any subhanallah fighting, etc., returns home like a newborn baby. If I had to ask even a young child in our community, what is the first salah of the day, what would we say? It's not Fajr, it's Maghrib. The day for us in Islam starts at Maghrib, not at Fajr. So this is an opportunity for you to reset your thinking on everything in conformance and in alignment with the way of Islam. So the first salah for you in a day is at Maghrib. These are the exact times on the 1st of Dhul Qa'dah, 1445, this year. These are your exact salah times. Subhanallah. I know they say no videography or photography allowed. Can we make some concessions? Okay, so brothers and sisters, I would highly recommend you take note, subhanallah, of the slide. It's on the first day. It's going to slide by a minute every day. So for those of us who've not been to Haramain before, appreciate that. Unlike here where we say Salah, Adhan is at 7 o'clock and Jama'ah is at 7:15. Or I think Adhan was 7:15 today and Jama'ah was at 7:30. And it's going to stay like this for the next 2 weeks. No. Salah at the Haramain slides every day. As the time changes, the Salah changes. This is subhanAllah for the first day. There are a few things we want to point out from this. At current, what is our Fajr time? 5:05. Good. Right? So we are getting later. By the time you depart in 3 weeks' time, Fajr would be somewhere in the region of 5:20. Right? If not a little bit earlier, a little bit later, somewhere in that region. Okay, and your Isha currently is at 7:30 Jama'ah. 7:30 Jama'ah. At the earliest before you depart, it's going to move to 7:15. Can you see what time is Isha? Adhan. Significant for us to realize that there's going to be a hot swap between us coming close to our winter and Hajj being close to their summer. Other than the temperature, just the change in how you manage yourself as a human being. Because in order to attend Salatul Fajr at 4:15, you need to be in the Haram before 3:15. What? You need to be in the Haram before 3:15. So from the perspective of what we call facilities management, alhamdulillah, we have a beautiful masjid and a company school and a Jamaat Khana, and sometimes we've had huge, right, Muslim activities and initiatives and projects, sometimes spending multiple days at this facility. But now scale this up, not 100 times, 1,000 and more times, and think about all the logistics that goes into it. So from facilities management perspective, both in Madinah al-Munawwara and Makkah al-Mukarramah, on the hour before the Adhan, the manner in which they manage access to the Haram changes. Your first few days in Madinah al-Munawwara, you'll say this Abdul Rahman guy, he was talking some funny things. It's not really like that. But when you come to Makkah al-Mukarramah, it will be a very rude awakening. So, subhanAllah, important to know the salah times and to make a practice of being inside the Haram an hour before the adhan starts. So we'll talk through that inshallah towards the end of the presentation. Good. First portion done. Okay, mashallah. Let's go. We can do this one. So, brothers and sisters, I want to point out to you a few significant things. No one's going for 6 weeks. For those going for 5 weeks, well, your departure date would be somewhere in the mid-May, right? Significant dates for you to remember. The 9th of Dhul Qa'dah, which translates to the 17th of May, would arguably be your first Jum'ah on your trip. Good for those going for 5 weeks. For those shorter, not yet. For those of us going for shorter, the 21st of May to the 23rd of May translates to the 13th to the 15th of Dhul Qa'dah. This is very significant. More so for those going to Madinah Munawwarah first. Why? Because this is a Tuesday to a Thursday, which means the 20th of May, the 21st of May, the 22nd of May, and the 23rd of May, at Maghrib, people will be making iftar in the Haram. So you have an opportunity of witnessing firsthand a sunnah practiced en masse by the majority of the people residing in Madinah al-Munawwarah, firsthand as it was done in the time of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We all know that in our communities there are those uncles, in the masjid. You see them making iftar on Monday and Thursday. You see them making iftar in the middle of the Hijri month, etc. But now you're going to have the opportunity of being able to partake in that sunnah way. You kind of will feel out of place if you didn't. So you don't have to fast, but it has an impact in terms of your personal management. At Maghrib on these days, so 20th to 23rd of May, subhanAllah, other than an hour before Salah, you'll have to up that to an hour 15 minutes before Salah, just based on the loading on the Haram on each of those days. The next Jummah will be 16th of Dhul Qa'dah, which is the 24th of May. Right? If you were serious about your Hajj trip, subhanAllah, you'll be making notes of these particular dates. Good, let's move, subhanAllah, to the next segment. I was given in my brief the idea that we focus on ziyarat of Madinah al-Munawwarah. So, more than ziyarat of Madinah al-Munawwarah, we're going to spend majority of this evening speaking about only 18 to 25 minutes of your entire trip. What? I'm here to share with you, subhanAllah, the core thrust of what I'm here to share with you is about 18 to 25 minutes of your entire trip. So the most important portion and activity in your entire trip in Madinah al-Munawwarah is your single visit to the Rawdah. We know, I'm sure you know, as a Hajj, you are legally entitled to one visit to the Rawdah. For anyone who's making Hajj, who traveled on Umrah within the last calendar year. Is uncle using the same passport? Okay, so we need to chat, right, in the Q&A around what needs to happen. Why? You are allowed a single visit to the Rawdah in a calendar year, and the unique identifier in terms of tracking that single visit is your passport number. So uncle, inshallah, there's a way around this, halal way around this. Uncle must have been worried all this time, how I could get to the Rawdah on my Hajj trip. Good. So for those of us on Hajj, Bashara and glad tidings, there's actually two opportunities. There's the opportunity that you get via the Nusuk app. Unique identifier is your passport number. You all know about the Nusuk app. Who hasn't heard about the Nusuk app as a Hajj? Everyone knows. Alhamdulillah, excellent. The second opportunity you get is via your operator, which inshallah they've all kind of caught on to this. So they will make a group booking via the portal that issues your visa to go to the Rawdah. What I want to focus on, subhanAllah, is how to choose the time so that you leverage and you capitalize spiritually on that 18 to 25 minutes. I'm talking about 18 to 25 minutes, but you've heard that it's half an hour. The half an hour includes the cycle time to get you in and to get you out. So hence you have 25 minutes. When brother said that the first spiritual forex is Durood and Salawat, your pre-investment to making the most out of your 18 to 25 minutes in the Rawdah is what you invest now in terms of the amount of Durood and Salawat, subhanAllah, that you recite, and you've been reciting, inshallah, between now and the time that you actually go to the Rawdah. So Ubaidullah already said he'll make me mark for the videography and photography. So the pictures are ta'aleeman for education purposes, right? So subhanAllah, first to commence with a short poem that was composed by one of the companions of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and a little bit of this poem is rendered by one of our senior ulama and teachers, Mufti Zubair Bayat. No volume on our thingy. Okay, no problem. Let's try. Okay, so that didn't work. This wouldn't work either because there isn't volume. Khalas, no problem. Inshallah, we'll try and share this clip with Ma'abrillah and we'll share it with the Hujjaj. This is an aerial view drone footage coming into Madinah al-Munawwarah, just to kind of show you, subhanAllah, what Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi looks like from an aerial view. If you have the chance of choosing your seat on your flight, you want to look for a window seat, right? So whether it's day or night, you'll be privy to some of this coming into Madinah al-Munawwarah. Good. So single visit to the Rawdah. The hadith of Muhammad Sallallahu between my house and my member is a garden from the gardens of Jannah. Because there's familiarity with the Nusuk app, alhamdulillah, we can skip many of the slides. How many of you have downloaded the Nusuk app already? How many of you playing on it every day? Please don't. Okay, because if your profile jams, you're literally in a jam. Alright, so wait for the time, but we'll share with you how to make that appointment, and then at the appropriate time, inshallah, you'll do that. So you've downloaded already, alhamdulillah. This is what the opening page, the home page would look like. You've seen this? Brothers are like, your pictures are very old, we're seeing it in dark mode. Alright, so the reason I'm not playing with the app is because I don't want to jeopardize my own profile, right? Good. This screen, subhanAllah, the settings screen, other than punching in your passport number, for your visa number for the first time, you shouldn't be playing with. Don't worry about, for those of you who can read Arabic, about the transliteration of your name. We're speaking to Nusuk to change that, because like your name is Ismail, but when it spells in Arabic, it doesn't spell how Arabic spells Ismail, right? So they're dealing with that, no problem. Then this, subhanAllah, is what you would normally see. Well, what you are most likely seeing is everything for the period that you're going to be in Madinah al-Munawwarah, let's say for May 2024. It's all grayed out, right? And the reason for this is the slots open on a weekly basis. So they open normally after Jum'ah in Saudi Arabia. So when you're in the masjid, the slots are open. So you know when you're going to be in Madinah al-Munawwarah. The Jum'ah prior to that, that's when you should start seeking out your slot. The rest of the presentation goes through how best or how we recommend you consider that slot. You can find the slot at any time, but at certain times you may find the slot and you may not be able to honor that slot, or subhanAllah, the congestion at that particular time may mean that you don't have the most pleasurable experience. Good. So once again, those same salah times, regulate everything. Right, this is a rough estimate of what the available times would be for males. So you would be able to make an appointment between 1 a.m. till whatever time Fajr is, winter and summer, or in the evening, meaning in the afternoon. All right, so Masa'an from after Dhuhr till Salatul Isha. And then naturally, on Fridays, it's a little bit different because we accommodate for Jum'ah. So brothers, I want us, for now, sisters, there's separate slides for you. I want us to take cognizance of this 1 a.m. till Fajr, and then Dhuhr till Isha, which means that which Salah is excluded here? So we've got Fajr here, Dhuhr here, Asr here, Maghrib here, Isha here. So what most people don't see is if you choose your slot wisely, you're running a 50% chance of being able to make one Salah in the Rawdah. I hope you're following the thinking. Good. They're just telling you, no, get a half an hour slot. But no one's telling you how you can extract the most out of this. Right? And that's, subhanAllah, what we want to talk through now. So you need to be cognizant of the times that you've taken a picture with when you're making that reservation. Good. So we look here, subhanAllah, there's a circle around the slot as the last slot before Fajr. Now that's just generally in terms of any day of the week, which would be a smart slot to choose. Before Fajr, maybe between Maghrib and Isha, but closer to Isha. So arguably you would be able to be in the Rawdah for Isha. But which day do you choose? When you've read books and literature on Hajj, what did it tell you? When you arrive in Madinah al-Munawwarah, put down your luggage, take ghusl, wear clean clothing, and go to the Rawdah. Is that logistically possible currently? You'll argue it is, because I know which night I'm landing, so I book a slot that night. What happens if you have a delay from Dubai or Doha? So subhanAllah, keep that in mind. Don't be over ambitious in securing your slot for the Rawdah on the first or second day of your trip, because there could be delays. Rather, spend some time in Madinah Munawwarah reciting Durud and Salawat. We'll speak about greeting Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. But secure your Rawdah slot a bit later. Now we want to capitalize on all the times of spirituality. So we said, if we get a Salah in there, Alhamdulillah. Which day would be the best day? Jummah. Right, so you want either Thursday Maghrib or Isha, preferably Isha. Why? Because what happens if you go in for Maghrib and they throw you out before Maghrib? So you just missed it. So you want to either get Thursday Isha or Friday Fajr. Right? So subhanAllah, that's a take home from all of these slides. And then subhanAllah, this is what your app, what your permit will look like. It has a flashing square around the barcode. South Africans, as Maulana told me earlier, 200 Rand sorts out anything. Not any longer. So they now have a point of sales device where they physically scan your reservation. So you can't go and take a screen video and show them that it's flashing and tell them, no, this is an active permit. They will catch you. Right? But it's beyond them catching you. How can you cheat for ibadah? To go and meet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, who was, subhanAllah, the bastion of the highest level of ethics and morality. Good. So let's be those people who honor our single appointment on the basis of, even though we have talab and desire to be in the Rawdah many times, we appreciate from what we speak about systems thinking, as you young professionals, subhanAllah, would know about. A concept that we refer to in the masajid is Ikram Muslim. I'm foregoing an additional opportunity because I'm affording my fellow Muslim brother or sister an equal or better opportunity. So you're choosing either Thursday Isha or Friday Fajr. Good. Let's go. This is what, subhanAllah, the permit would look like after it has passed. So it will be there. You now have an additional feature on the app where you can generate a certificate. You're thinking like, oh, this is this fancy children with electronic stuff now, they give us certificates. No. The concept of a shahada, a certificate, not so much for the Rawdah, but for Hajj, dates back over 600-700 years that people have been giving a shahada and a certificate for Hajj. So whilst it may have been a nice to have, you know, for those in technical development, a nice to have, not part of the MVP, minimum viable product, but subhanAllah, note that it also has some athar in terms of our legacy as Muslims. So maybe you want to generate that certificate, which you can. Okay, let's go to the sisters. Sisters, be cognizant once again of the salah times on the right-hand side of your slide. My pointer can't be on that end, but inshallah, your maharim, your husbands and fathers and brothers are watching carefully, understand where the point is. So look at your times. This is an older picture on the left-hand side. So it's got a physical time, but it would say basically morning after Fajr till 11 a.m. and evening would say after Isha till midnight. So similarly, as we mentioned for the brothers, you want to capitalize on Laylatul Jum'ah / Yawmul Jum'ah. Sisters equally so. You want to look for an appointment, subhanAllah, on Thursday evening, somewhere after Isha, or on Friday morning after Fajr. So those would be the two recommended times we would say for sisters, where you're capitalizing on the best time of day and the best day of the week. Good. This is, subhanAllah, some just visuals of sisters' appointments. This is when you could still do many great things in the app and cancel appointments and all of that. Good. And view of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi from in front of the masjid, from the direction of Qibla. Now you will not be able to see Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi like this on your trip. And we're going to show that to you, subhanAllah, in some of the future visuals. Good. So this, subhanAllah, is an aerial view of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi. I want to point out to particularly the brothers, because you can see my pointer, and the sisters equally well. If you look to the rear of the masjid, so that is where the high-rise buildings are, on the left-hand side of Masjid al-Nabawi, and on the right-hand side rear corners, those would be, subhanAllah, where the sisters' allocation for salah is. Good. Why is this relevant to visiting the Rawdah? Because you must factor in that if you have chosen a time as a sister to honor your Rawdah appointment, say for instance on Thursday evening after Isha, choose an appointment knowing that you need to navigate from the rear left-hand corner, which I'm pointing out now, which is to the right-hand side of the slide, right towards the end. You need to navigate from there all the way around to the front courtyard where you can see the green dome. So brothers, you're going to have to share some insight because you can see the pointer. And this, subhanAllah, is more applicable to those of you who are staying on the right rear-hand side of Masjid al-Nabawi, particularly sisters. Because if you're staying, say, for instance, at a hotel like Movenpick Anwar al-Madinah, you are on the diagonally opposite side of where you need to honor your Rawdah appointment. So factor in, subhanAllah, your walking time to where you're going to honor the appointment. And we're going to go through that in a little bit of granular detail just now. Okay, so subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, now you see two pictures of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi. I want you to look at where the green dome is on the picture on the left-hand side. And just alongside where the green dome is, you can see that there are certain musallis sitting in rows, right? That's the waiting area for the people who are going to go into the Rawdah. So sisters, if you look just below on the picture on the left-hand side, if you look just below where the green dome is, you can see some musallas there on the ground floor, on the white marble. That's the waiting area where you will sit before you enter the Rawdah. And the picture on the right-hand side, this would be for those of you who are staying on the Qibla side of the Haram. So this would be on the southern side, as it's referred to. You need to also make sure that you are able to get as close as possible to the green dome. This is once again an aerial view where you see the umbrellas to the left of the green dome. That's the area where you will be seated before you honor your Rawdah appointment. Good. Once again, beneath those umbrellas, you can see people seated. Now, it's not very scientific. So you most probably have learned in some of your orientations that when you're choosing your Rawdah slot, there's green, amber, red. And you know, green means that there's availability, amber means it's nearly full, red means it's full. It's not scientific in the least. So they don't have a counter on the back end of the Nusuk app that says for the 4 to 4:30 slot, we have an allocation for 1,000 people and we're on 998 and then now it's going to go great. No, it's a rough estimate. Good. So appreciate it's not scientific in the least. How does it become a little bit more organized in all the chaos? By virtue of the seating area that you see under this umbrella. So that is the same size surface area as the Rawdah. When that area is filled up by people who've now been screened, etc., they're like, okay, we're good to send another round of people into the Rawdah. Once again, an aerial view with the umbrellas closed, you can see two seating areas of people alongside the green dome, and there would be two seating areas for every Rawdah appointment. It's luck of the draw in terms of which group goes in to the Rawdah first. Right. Significant in this picture, between the two seating areas, you will see, subhanAllah, this entrance, right, with the bigger arches. So brothers and sisters, this is in line now. If you look at the white domes on the roof of Masjid al-Nabawi, in line with that, you'll see, subhanAllah, where the two seating areas are. There's an entrance that kind of juts out. I'm giving this descriptive explanation as best as possible for the sisters who can't see my pointer. This is known as door number 37. There's a difference between door numbers and gate numbers. And this is very important in terms of honoring your Rawdah appointment, because it's going to tell you to go to gate number 37. Gate number 37, the gates are on the outside courtyard or on the outside fence that separates the courtyard literally from the road or the street or the pedestrian walkway. You need to be as close as possible. You're going to enter the haram from the door number, not from the gate number. We're going to see it, inshallah, in pictures just now. Another view of the green dome. Naturally, the seating area that we spoke about is cut off in this particular picture. Good. So this, subhanAllah, particularly for the sisters. You'll see once again, what does it say? It says gate 37. No, it should be door 37. Gate 37 is on the left top corner of the picture. That's the gate that separates the courtyard from the pedestrian walkway. You will honor your Rawdah appointment by being at door number 37. Okay, then there's also sisters, must have seen this on the Million Sisters WhatsApp groups. Ladies, Salah through door number 25. And also there's this confusion that's set in our community that says, but sisters are going to the Rawda every evening without an appointment. No. What they are allowing you to do is to come into the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi. So that's on the inside of the masjid. They're allowing you to come into the courtyard through the rear center entrance, just so that you can be closer to Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. That does not constitute the Rawda. We'll show you the Rawda just now in pictures. Marana, you referenced this in our short discussion before Salatul Isha, that Muslims and queues, they don't work very well together, right? So expect this, both for brothers and sisters. The next few pictures are going to be interchangeably male and female, just to, subhanAllah, kind of give you an idea of what it is that you need to expect. Not everyone comes from a developed human community like you. And that doesn't make them less Muslim. I'll digress slightly. I once, subhanAllah, visiting Masjid al-Aqsa on the back of Hajj, was entering through the Israeli checkpoints and saw how they were ill-treating our Palestinian brothers and sisters. And I looked at them as a young South African and said, if this was 15 years earlier in my life, I would have reacted similarly, because I was not afforded the decorum of being a human being. Similarly, subhanAllah, many of our brothers and sisters as Muslims from different parts of the world experience the same. They are literally herded like cattle, even in their own countries. So it's no fault of theirs that they don't know how to stand in a queue, in most instances, right? So appreciate that. Don't let it frustrate you, but rather use it as a means of being able to show gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all the ni'am and the bounties that Allah has granted you that you don't even realize. Particularly with regards to visiting the Rawda, adopt a mindset of each of these people are here showing their enthusiasm in a manner that maybe I don't appreciate it, don't take kindly to. Because of what? Because they love Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. And when you can adopt that mindset, managing and navigating crowds and congestion becomes seamless. Why are they here? Because they want to express their love for Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. That's why they're pushing each other. Not because they're wild and they're uncultured. Because when you have those negative thoughts, it impacts your rawdah and it impacts the rest of your Hajj. Because your thoughts are du'as. So it's very important that, subhanAllah, we maintain a positive mindset in every situation. Good. So let's look at some of the brothers. Okay, so we normally make some humor here. Because brothers attend the masjid more regularly, most parts of the world, you know. They know how to stand in a line, in a queue, etc. Heck, when it comes to buying food in the marketplace, in most of the outlets, they have separate queues for the sisters. The sisters' queues are shorter. So brothers, for a change, you don't have to go stand in the queue for the food. Send the sisters, you get your food quicker. Okay, so here's brothers standing in what we refer to as the pre-queue. So this is just queuing on the courtyard. Right, in every one of the pictures, I'm not going to mention it all the time, but kind of makes sense of where the masjid is, where the green dome is, to get an idea of distance away from actually getting to the actual masjid. So these are brothers standing in what I refer to as the pre-queue. They haven't shown their actual appointments yet or anything of the sort. There's two sets of queues. There's the individual queue by virtue of the Nusuk app, and there's a separate queuing, waiting, staging area for groups. So on your personal appointment, you'll be in the personal queue. In the other appointment, you'll be in the group queue. Let's go. And here, eventually, they will come through 4 lines or 5 lines of the pre-queue. And then eventually, they'll come to a narrow sluice where they will screen each person's appointment. Now, you're going to make the appointment for a designated time. For illustrative purposes, let's say 4 a.m. What time do you arrive for a 4 a.m. appointment? 3:15. Not 3. So 3:15. Reason being, so time and method study, right? If you are too early, when you come here, they will bounce you. Then you need to join the pre-queue again. For those who've been many times, this is second nature. You're rolling your eyes, you're thinking, Abdurrahman, why are we wasting time? Appreciate, subhanAllah, when we teach Hajj on a zero base. Assuming that no one has been before, right? So 3:15 for a 4 o'clock appointment. Join the pre-queue, work your way to the front. If you reach here at 3:25, he's going to realize, look, you're nearly in time, fine. So you don't want to be too early. There's also another actor coming at 3:15. May not work on a Friday morning, may work on another morning. If you are a little bit early, they will let you through. And you could get in half an hour before your time. What does this mean? You exit and you join the queue again for your legal halal appointment. So you do 2 appointments back to back. Okay? So you can exercise your creativity. You got it, alhamdulillah. Good. Once again, you don't have sound, no problem. In this particular video, I want you to look at the wall of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What do you see? It's wet. Will you forfeit your appointment because it's raining? No. Is there a seating area for these hujjaj here on the floor? No, the carpets are going to get wet. But because of their love for Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they stood there and they got drenched and they went to honor their appointment. What are you willing to give up for this 18 or 25 minutes in Jannah? And those tests will come thick and fast. So always keep that in your mind, subhanAllah. When you're about to fly off the handle, can't deal with this. Keep that in mind. What's the goal? And never ever, subhanAllah, take your eyes off the goal. Good. So eventually you find yourself in the seating area. As I mentioned, same surface area size like the actual Rawdah. They may afford you the opportunity of taking some Zamzam. In this time, you would ask, why going through each of these pictures? Everyone has anxiety. But keeping your eyes on the goal, what is your focus? I am so close to being in Jannah. And I'm going to make and have a personal discussion with Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu. What are you focusing on? You're not worrying about whether they're going to send the people in the first row or the second row first. What are you worrying about? All the durood and salawat I've been reciting all these months and all these years, now, subhanAllah, I need to be reciting it with much more oomph and verve and enthusiasm and focus, because the moment I've been waiting for is inshallah about to come. Good. So very important that you have your shoe bag with you. Don't leave your shoes in the waiting area. You'll never come back here ever again. So you keep your shoe bag with you all the time. Most of the Hajj operators now have kind of like a drawstring shoe bag that you carry on your back. Yes, you are going into Rawdah, you are going into Jannah, you are going into a masjid, but you need to carry your footwear with you. So this is like darura, it's an essential. So carry it with you, and that's why you have a shoe bag. Some context on Hajj. One of the first nations to have shoe bags in the world were South Africans. One of the first nations to use backpacks on Hajj were South Africans. One of the first nations to use bladders, those hiking bladders on Hajj were inshallah South Africans. We started the trend some years ago. So here you can see subhanAllah seating for all the brothers, those who have chairs. If you require a chair, please carry the chair with you. And then eventually you will enter through door number 37. This is door number 38. These are all the pictures. I'm pointing out the older pictures because the procedure has changed slightly. This is what was referred to in the time of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu as Babu Nisa, the entrance of the women, door number 39. Currently, most accounts I've heard is you're entering through door number 37, the one I showed that was jutting out slightly. You walk inside the wing of the haram and then you do a left turn. My future pictures will show you what happens and what you see when you enter the left turn. So this would be the same for both brothers and sisters at different times of the day, as we covered in the previous slides. Good. So that is still, when you enter, subhanAllah, they will give you a bottle of Zamzam. This is a token, a gift for you. Ask yourself whether you need to consume the Zamzam. If yes, alhamdulillah. If not, think about all the people you visited before undertaking this trip and the one elderly, sickly person who gave you du'as, maybe you want to make niyyah to give them this as a gift. To come back and say, uncle, you gave me du'as, you haven't been to Haram ever. I got this on entry to Rawdatul min Riyadh al-Jannah. It's a token. You could get another bottle. Here's the bottle that I got when I was entering the Rawdah, and I want to give it to you as a gift. As people are thoughtful with regards to you on your trip, subhanAllah, don't be heedless with regards to the numerous people you encounter in the build-up to Hajj. Because many of us have been accepted for Hajj by virtue of their du'as. So keep them in mind. Okay, so subhanAllah, the important pictures now, your 18-minute stay in the Rawdah, 18 to 25 minutes. These pictures were taken during COVID time, so this was for social distancing, etc. Not mentioning anything about COVID, but just to show you. What do you see here? A timer. It's not 10 a.m. in the morning, right? This is the timer to show how many minutes of that session remain. So the guards are very cognizant of those 30-minute slots. And they also know that you should be cognizant because there's a timer in it. Like I said, it's not very scientific, but it exists. All right, now, the important things in this picture, subhanAllah, is to picture to show you, to highlight for you, this which you see in the rear of the picture. So the pillar to the left of the 10 o'clock timer, right, the 10:00 timer. Behind the pillar, you can see the mimbar, the steps by which the khatib ascends to give the khutbah. So this is referenced in the hadith of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Between my mimbar and my house, and I'll show you a picture from the other angle. Between my mimbar, the house would be to the left. So where the cleaner is and further extending to the left, that would be the area of the Rawdah. Now there's always this discussion about how deep is the Rawdah. Okay, so we're going to focus on portions of those discussions. As best as possible, you want to be in the area to the left of the mimbar, where there is this marble embossing on the pillars. This is like gold, undisputed, subhanAllah, this is the Rawdah. Between my mimbar and my house is a garden from the gardens of Jannah. Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad did not say, is like a garden from the gardens of Jannah. He said, is the garden from the gardens of Jannah. What's the difference? The difference is we appreciate that Allah's promise is when we have entered you into Jannah, you will forever remain in Jannah. So what is one of your du'as? Oh Allah, by virtue of your promise, you have granted me admission into Jannah. Grant me the capacity to live a life beyond this visit and beyond this trip, so that I don't exclude myself from those who are entitled to Jannah. And this is not just words or thoughts that you have, words that you say or thoughts that you have. You have to live this up until you eventually meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good. So here, subhanAllah, another view. Now we're looking at it as if our back was against the mimbar. And you can see at the end here, there's this green kind of fencing, right, with the built-up structure. This now refers to the house of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad. When we say the house of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad, brothers, don't take kindly to this. The house of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad was determined by the living quarters of each of the Ummahatul Mu'minin radiallahu anhu. So if you had to ask the brothers, the title deeds of your house are in your name or your wife's name? Different discussion, right? Good. So subhanAllah, the house of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad, as we can see, these are the pillars with the marble embossing. I'll show you other pillars just now in the sukuf behind us. Anyway, in here, you're going to observe this 18 to 25 minutes. What do you do in this time? The pre-investment is very important. For those who, subhanAllah, inshallah, you've maybe had the opportunity of doing this. Some would have completed more than one khatam in the month of Ramadan. And you all have the opportunity of completing one khatam before you jump on the plane. You're looking at me how? I'll show you just now. And you can complete that khatam when you're in the Rawdah by just leaving the last 3 surah of Quran. Unlike before, when we would have hours in the Rawdah, you have to really pre-invest to make this meaningful. Now you're going to say, okay, so as I read the 3 surahs and then lift my hands in dua, not going to happen. So in the minds of the officials overseeing your stay in the Rawdah, you're supposed to come here and make 2 rakat salah and then leave. So if they don't see you in one of the positions of salah, they're going to shunt you out, even though your 25 minutes are not up. So what's the trick? Get into the Rawdah with tama'nina, with composure, observe 2 rakat salah. It's going to be Tahiyyatul Masjid. And then, subhanallah, observe 2 rakat salah again. And then maybe move a little bit, observe 2 rakat salah again. And when you are ready to make dua, then we recommend that you make dua in sujood. Okay, but then now you can't have this lengthy sujood that's 6 minutes long, because the guard already took note, but this musalli, he's been here for a long time. So how many sujood in every rak'ah of salah? 2, right? So come up after one and go back into sujood again. I mean this, because the moment they detect that you completed with your salah, noting that there's a nuance between Hajj, Umrah in Ramadan, and Umrah at other times of the year. They know that by and large you are a novice. If you're here for Hajj, it's your first trip ever. So they make more allowance in Ramadan and in Umrah because they know people know, like, I'm entitled to 25 minutes. Now they're taking it as this person's here for the first time. We can move them off. So as many rak'ah of salah, tama'nina, with composure, the best salah that you can observe. Right? No rush so that I get more rak'ah in. No. Tama'nina, composure in every posture of salah. When you complete the salah, your dua in sujood. And also, as best as possible, to try and, where possible, to move around in the rawdah. So the same guards not overlooking it, because they each have a kind of square area, surface area that they manage. So that guard saw you, but that guard didn't see you. So if there's a way to move there comfortably, then you move to the other side, right? Okay, so we talk about the pre-investment, durood and salawat upon Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad, also, as we mentioned, reiterated, a khatam of Quran, whatever else, subhanAllah, you can think of is ibadah that you pre-invest. Because in the 18 to 25 minutes, wallahi, this time goes so soon. Now, you're going to say, I'm going to make dua in sujood. What dua are you going to make? Even if you're the greatest orator, and you can manage to give a TED talk on the fly, which you can't do because they do pre-runs the day before, right? You can't fault this. You have to plan this. So what are the aspects you're going to make dua for in the Rawdah? So one of the homework exercises that generally we give in Hajj classes is you must go and write down your du'as from now. And then re-look at them and revisit them and refine them. Because the 6 or 8 or 10 minutes that you spend in dua needs to really be the best du'as. Naturally, oh Allah, you have entered me into Jannah, keep me from amongst the people of Jannah. Oh Allah, grant me additional opportunities of being in the Rawdah. If not on this trip, then in the many future trips. Not on a future trip, in the many future trips that you grant me. So you have to think smartly about even the words that you use in your dua. Appreciating that, you must crown your dua off with the dua that Allah teaches us in Quran. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنًا. So if there's any nuqs or shortcoming or the deficiency in your dua, it's made up in this very comprehensive dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taught us. Good. Now we see a different type of pillar. We are a few sufuf back, a few rows back. Here's the pillar with the marble embossing. For the sisters, it's the second row of pillars in your picture. And the first row of pillars you see has 3 gold lines on the side. It's a stone pillar, right? It's a stone or cemented pillar with some, subhanAllah, inscriptions on the pillar. This is now, according to some ulama, still considered a part of the rawdah. Why? Why? Because the homes of each of the Ummahatul Mu'minin radiallahu anhum were behind each other. So if Allah doesn't give you the opportunity of being in the ones where there's the marble embossing, as long as the mimbar is on your right and the fence, the house, the wall is on your left, inshallah, I'm still in the rawdah. But your push as a male and female, comfortably, without physically pushing anyone, is to go as front as possible. If it so happens that you came in as one of the last people in your appointment, so from the staging area into the rawdah, no problem. Start out making salah at the back. And as people are being shunted off, move forward, another 2 rakah, another 2 rakah. So even if you feel I didn't make my 2 rakah in the rawdah, before you exit, you definitely would have been in the rawdah. The positive mindset is very important. The moment you take on the mindset of negativity, You're going to shut yourself out from the opportunities that are still literally in front of you, like the sukuk in front of you. So keep that, subhanAllah, in mind. Okay, so many of the Hajj classes go into detail surrounding the different pillars of significance. My brothers and sisters, very respectfully, let me tell you, as someone who's undertaking your Hajj trip, the chances of you being able to make salah behind these pillars is very close to zero. So after you understand the process we've spoken about for yourself as individual study, then familiarize yourself with the different pillars. It could be, I'll show you how to identify the pillars. It could be, subhanAllah, Allah blesses you with landing up behind one of those pillars. So that's the dua that you're making. But now you must know a little bit of the significance of the pillars, which we won't go into this evening. Why? So that you can tie the du'as that you're making, if Allah blesses you with that opportunity, with the significance of that pillar. So you'll see the pillars of significance are generally, remember, Qibla is facing the bottom of the picture, right? So particularly for the sisters, brothers can see the pointer. So there's the mihrab of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. There to the left of the mihrab, you see one blue pillar, deep history here. The actual mimbar, right next to the mimbar, is actually the tree stump where Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu would rest his hand. So that's also a pillar of significance. But the general pillars of significance are kind of in this reverse L shape, right? You can see all the inscriptions of the different names. How do you identify the pillars? Marana, inshallah, will break for refreshments just now. So, هذه أسطوانة الوفود. This is the pillar of the delegations. So this is where Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu would receive different delegations that came to encounter him, to speak to him. So all the diplomats from different parts of the known world at the time would meet Muhammad Sallallahu at this particular point. Good, so you have parliament here in Rawdatul min Riyadil Jannah in the real sense. هذه أسطوانة الحبس. This is where the bodyguards of Muhammad Sallallahu would stay day and night. Right, so for the brothers who are jamming, maybe want to target this one. Allah give you big muscles that you use in the right places. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. This, subhanAllah, is a picture taken of in earlier times when sisters wouldn't have complete access to the Rawdah, right? You can see here's the mihrab of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And what was significant in that picture is there you can see the embossing on the top of the pillar. So I'm going to go one back. So the pillars of significance generally, call it 3 meters or 4 meters into the air, have this kind of inscription. While the Arabic is calligraphy and may not be easy for all of us to read, if you land up next to any of these pillars, either it's to your side, or remember the reverse L, or you are literally facing it, as you can see in this picture towards the left of a pillar towards the left of the picture, then subhanAllah, know that you are in line with one of the pillars of significance. This, subhanAllah, is of significant importance to both the brothers and sisters. Now we'll go a few minutes over and then inshallah we'll stop for refreshments. So, brothers and sisters, this is a picture taken from the courtyard behind the quote-unquote the original Masjid al-Nabawi. So Masjid al-Nabawi in the Ottoman time, right? So the Rawdah that we refer to is towards the left front of this picture. That's where the Rawdah is. Now, why am I sharing this picture when we speak of the Rawdah? Particularly for the sisters at times in your 30-minute allocation, you can see death in your face. Others won't appreciate this. So you know, if I make 2 rakat salaya, I'm going to literally break my neck. This does happen. So what do you do if that's what you see? Now you must also deal with your own anxieties and fears and be realistic in what you see. So you don't pass up opportunities. If, subhanAllah, it looks extremely chaotic and rude awakening, there are male security personnel administering females during their Rawdah appointments. There's female attendants, but there's also male attendants due to crowd control. Good. So sisters who are in niqab, etc., you should take this into account. Even though they are all females around you, when you actually come into the Rawdah, there may be male security personnel there. Good. So you can see in this picture, when we see all the arches of the built-up area, do you see first, second, third, the 4th arch from the right-hand side is kind of filled in. There's like an aircon vent. When I hear some from the sister side, I'll know they're following us. Yes? Inshallah. Then another 1, 2, 3, 4 arches. We're counting from the right to the left. And the last arch hidden behind the pillar also is covered with an air vent. Right, so brothers, you're seeing this clearly? So that one on the left, one hidden behind the pillar, and this one here. In the area between the outside pillars of the two arches that are filled with air vents, so between the first row of pillars on the boundary wall and the second row of pillars inside is the rough estimation of Ashab al-Sufa, the platform where the companions of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad, to whom we are indebted for everything that we have, or most of what we have in our Islamic legacy of scholarship. This is where they spend their time. So, unknown gem to many of us who sometimes can't honor our Rawdah appointment properly or comfortably or safely. If you don't get to be in the physical Rawdah, then you can, quote unquote, hang back in this area and observe your 18 or 23 minutes in this area, and inshallah still take some benefit. Okay, let's run picture of the mimbar. So we looked at it with our back to the mimbar towards the house. Now we're on the side of the house looking towards the mimbar. Okay, so there's not going to be any audio, but that's fine. There's a short minute video, less than a minute video, of someone going to physically greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad. Good. For those who've been before on Umrah, very different to your previous Rawdah visits. You won't visit the Rawdah and then, particularly the males, and then exit to greet Muhammad. Doesn't work like that anymore. So you enter the Rawdah, you complete your 18 or 23 minutes, and you exit the same way. Good. And to go and greet Muhammad, you enter, subhanAllah, through a separate entrance. Sisters, with regards to you greeting Muhammad, let's just skip back very quickly to here. Good. So if we look at the picture on the left, sisters, wherever you have observed your salah in the Rawdah, you want to face the wall of the house of Muhammad. That means your right shoulder is facing Qibla. Good. And from there, you want to greet Muhammad. So just to remind ourselves, we've completed discussing our 18 to 23 minutes stay in the Rawdah. What's the core thrust there? Observe some salah. Make dua in the position of sujood. And another added reason for making dua in sujood, we learn from the hadith of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad أَقْرَبُ مَا يَكُونُ الْعَبْدُ مِنْ رَبِّهِ وَهُوَ سَاجِدٌ, that the closest posture you are to your Creator is in the posture of sujood. So it's not that we're just trying to hide away from the guards, right? It's also that is the closest posture we are to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In fact, on your stay and your visit and your journey of Hajj, you're going to find many people who only make dua in sujood. When it comes close to the time of Maghrib on Friday, you would see people going into sujood and you're thinking, but like it's Maghrib time, the sun is about to set, because they're making dua. Side note. So sisters, when you complete your salah, before you exit the Rawdah, you're going to first turn so that you are facing the house. That's the far end of the picture on the left-hand side, which means your right shoulder is facing Qibla. And then you're going to greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad. We'll speak about how you greeted what you say just now. Let's just go back to our very short video. Let's go to our video. Don't want to play? Okay. Brothers, importantly, this is now, you've seen in the previous picture, let's get the correct button. You've seen the house. This is the corner pillar. This always happens. This is the corner pillar. Good. You'll see many people greeting here. Let's go back. You'll see many people greeting here, whereas the actual greeting is after the first pillar. So corner pillar, first pillar. You'll see there's an embossing here. I'm going to show this to you in future slides. Good. So the embossing on the top and a peephole at the bottom. The bigger peephole is in line with the qabr of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. The one slightly to the right of that, in line with the qabr of Abu Bakr radhiallahu anhu, and the one to the right of that, in line with the qabr of Umar radhiallahu anhu. Where is this? Not the corner pillar, after the first pillar. And this is the embossing that you would see on the top of the big peephole. Huna as-salamu ala Rasulillah. So, we'll show you another video just now and then we'll take our break. You're going to enter through a particular door. We'll show you a picture of that door, and eventually you're going to come to be in line with us. You're going to see a good number of people greeting before you. Now, we spoke about the people who We're going to make accommodation in our minds for them because they are here to show their love of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad. But then there's also the social media, selfie, broadcast, everything live on Instagram, subculture that exists in the Ummah. So there's going to be thousands of people who are on video calls with their grandmothers, and I'm not saying that in jest, their grandmothers, people in their community, sometimes entire masajid, whole tribes, showing them themselves as they are going through this journey of greeting Muhammad. So don't think about everyone from our own perspective. You don't know what underpins what that person is doing. And to each, subhanAllah, their own accountability to Allah. So whilst we're not going to be Instagram living our greeting of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, and the apps they use are not Instagram, right? It's all apps you've never even heard about, that they are keeping in touch with people at home, appreciating that even from our own communities in South Africa. I spent some time with a prospective Hajj. He's the first person in his broader family to make Hajj, born Muslim. So we take it for granted. It's also a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Good. Let's see where we are. Khair. Inshallah, let's stop here at exactly 9 p.m. We'll give 5 or 7 minutes for you to grab some refreshments, both brothers and sisters, and then inshallah come back to the seating area, and then we'll continue.
You can have all the refreshments there, so that we don't have to give it there. Also, some tea, coffee, they say with it. There's a registration form you just fill in, inshallah, and it's 7 minutes past 9 to start the game. Salam, how are you? Local? Yeah. How are you doing? Oh, amazing. Your place now, yeah, so you I feel so bad. Yeah, of course. Like I called you to. No. Wait. So today. Yeah. No. Ladies, over the years, we've noticed that the silver in practice gets untouched by the ladies section. These are watani chickens, you can consume these.
وأحسن منك لم تر قط عيني وأجمل منك لم تلد النساء.
Tomorrow, inshallah, we will do the 5 days of Hajj, the Ihram, Makkah, Mukarramah, your Umrah, etc. We will try and start at 7:15 Isha Salah. So whoever can come for Isha at 7:15 here, then we can begin promptly, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, brothers and sisters, you can take your time, grab your refreshments, just kind of keep your ears attentive to what's going on in the front. And as soon as you have your refreshments, then balance looking at where you're walking so you don't trip over someone, and look at the screen at the same time. Good, let's go. Bismillah.
وأحسن منك لم تر قط عيني وأجمل منك لم تلد النساء. خلقت مبرأ من كل عيب كأنك قد خلقت كما تشاء. He said, O Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how can I describe your beauty How can I describe your greatness? وَأَحْسَنُ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَرَ قَطُّ عَيْنِي. My eyes have not seen anyone as beautiful and handsome as you are in the whole world. وَأَجْمَلُ مِنْكَ لَمْ تَلِدُ النِّسَاءُ. No woman in this universe has given birth to anyone as beautiful as you are. No more beautiful person was ever born. No more beautiful person was ever seen by the eye. خُلِقْتَ مُبَرَّأً مِنْ كُلِّ عَيْبٍ. You are created free of every kind of defect, every kind of shortcomings, any kind of faults. You are completely pure of that. And كَأَنَّكَ قَدْ خُلِقْتَ كَمَا تَشَاءُ. It was as if you were created the way you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blesses you in accordance with your liking. Such beautiful personality in terms of physical beauty, in terms of spiritual beauty, in terms of outward and internal beauty, like the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was never seen in this universe and will never be seen forever till the day of Qiyamah.
Okay, Jazakumullah khairan. So, Ubaidullah mentioned that generally the experience is that on the sister side, no one touches the savory platter. The experience is more than just this community, that once you give the sisters the opportunity of speaking, then the sisters will keep on speaking. So sisters, inshallah, if we could settle down now, because even though I can't see you, I can definitely hear you. No sisters, that's not silence here. Inshallah, if you could please keep quiet. Sisters? Sisters? Jazakumullah khair. Good. So subhanallah, brothers and sisters, we covered the section around the Rawdah, right? Now, to show brothers the opportunity that you must capitalize on minimum once a day. In fact, if you can do more than once a day, subhanallah, fantabulous. So more than once a day you must do as a brother. But then definitely, other than that, we come to the portion of where you need to aid the sisters. Good, let's go. So I mentioned to you in a previous picture that you would never see Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi with the courtyard open. It's because you'll always now in the current subhanallah scene, you would always see it with these plastic barricades. So these plastic barricades that you see in front of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi are providing the opportunity for brothers at any time of the day or night, other than when it's the time of Fard Salah, to go and greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. Remember, you have chosen to go to Madinah al-Munawwara for one and one reason only, to go and spend time close to Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. You cannot be too busy to go and greet Muhammad Sallallahu at least once a day, in person as close as possible. I want brothers and sisters to appreciate that in our own short-lived experience, before you could greet Muhammad Sallallahu as many times as you want, you could go to the Rawdah every day. And I want you to appreciate as time progresses, how those opportunities get kept. So knowing that that's a trend that's been established, you will be guilty, subhanAllah, if you don't go and greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu once a day. And Allah forbid, in your own lived experience on successive trips, that opportunity then becomes curtailed as we have the restrictions currently on Rawdah. So let's talk through that process. So this is the barricade that allows brothers to go into the masjid, right? You would have exited the masjid, or you will exit the masjid after salam on the picture on the right hand side, from this picture on the right hand side of the green room. You're going to enter the masjid to greet Muhammad Sallallahu on the left hand side entrance. So let's inshallah look at that pictures. So here you can see a different type of barricade, like a concertina barricade that they can roll up. It's got wheels at the bottom, casters at the bottom, right? And here is the entrance to this snake, right, queue that they run all the way till you get to the green room. So here's the entrance. They will ensure that no females enter here, because naturally this is open to males only, as I mentioned, any time of the day or night. That's why you see different pictures, the first one and then the second one and then now the third one, different times of the 24-hour cycle. So brothers would enter through here. At this stage, you could still be wearing your footwear. I want to share with you, subhanAllah, something else around the etiquette surrounding visiting Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi. Many of you would know that the dimensions of the city of Madinah al-Munawwara in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam are preserved till this day. How? The outer fence around the courtyard, so this fence here at the end, before the buildings, that fence is more or less the dimensions of the fourth wall of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi in the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which means the masjid existed in Madinah al-Munawwara, the people's homes existed in Madinah al-Munawwara, and even some of the small holdings, so the people with bigger apps, as we would say in South Africa, with bigger stands, all existed in the area of the courtyard of Masjid al-Nabawi sallallahu ala sahibihi today. Now we're speaking about the etiquette that underpins visiting Madinah al-Munawwara. We learn from the great fuqaha and the great jurists. From amongst them, today we'll reference Imam Malik rahimahullah. That Imam Malik rahimahullah would never ever walk anywhere, not in the masjid, anywhere in the city of Madinah al-Munawwara was his footway. Why? Because he could not behold that he would trample on a piece of ground where Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam walked with his footway. You are visiting in summer, not in the day, not for Dhuhr, not for Asr. And if you're coming early for Maghrib, not even for Maghrib. But at any other time of the night or Fajr, what stops you from taking off your footwear when you step onto the courtyard, male or female, and saying, "Oh Allah," as Imam Malik rahimahullah showed the respect and reverence for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am trying to emulate his example. Give me a percentage, a fraction of the taqwa, of the Allah consciousness, of the love that Imam Malik rahimahullah had for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Like I said, don't do this at all. South Africans, even though you may not know and be able to converse in any of the vernacular, you all know the phrase "Shisan Nyamaisa." That's what will happen to the soles of your feet if you do this in Dhuhr or Asr, right? Especially now in summer. But definitely in the evening. So practice on this. I'm sharing this with you because you're going to be seeing people walking barefoot and you're going to think, look at this person. He's carrying dirt into the masjid. From a fiqh perspective, you so many meters away from the bathroom, the ground is regarded as tahir and pure. So even if you don't have a musalla or a sajjada, you can physically make salah here on the courtyard. Right, so I'm sharing this with you so you understand the underpinning to it. And some people, out of the love for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they don't walk with their footwear from their hotel room. So you'll see people walking around barefoot. You'll be like, but this guy is so well dressed. Where's his feet? Where's his footwear? Did he lose his shoes in the haram? No. He deliberately decided not to wear footwear because it's emulating the practice of Imam Malik rahimahullah. Good, so brothers will enter here with your footwear in your shoe bag. And subhanAllah, this is a video. There's no audio this time. Irfan, you can't find this one on YouTube. So this subhanAllah video is a few minutes long. It's going to show you entering from door number 1 as a male. When you step over into the arch, that's the doorway, you step in with your right foot, you recite subhanAllah niyyah for entering the masjid. English or Arabic, Allah, for as long as I remain in the masjid, I am in i'tikaf for your pleasure. And then you recite in durood and salawat. Now the mindset when you are greeting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who am I greeting? Allah created everything that exists in the heavens and the earth. Why? Because of His love for Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the best of His creation. And Allah is affording you the privilege and the honor of greeting that creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the reason for Allah's creation of everything else. And Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is our aqidah and our belief, is alive. Yes, we don't have the ability to interact with him very easily. So I'm choosing my words carefully. We don't have the ability to interact with him very easily as we interact with each other. But there are people who have been privy to Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, greeting them and returning their greeting. And others around have been witness to that. So that is the talab and the desire that you have. Allah Make it such that I hear the response from Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. So now you are reciting Durood and Salawat as you are walking through this avenue, keeping that in mind. This is the choicest of Allah's creatures and creation. The reason for Allah creating everything in the heavens and the earth. And I'm now having the honor and privilege of greeting him, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay, so brothers and sisters, I'm going to go back to the video just now. In the video, the last portion you saw was where they showed you the pointer into the road, right? As I mentioned, the manner of managing the haram has changed. So when you're going to make salam as a male, you won't be able to see the road anymore because it will be barricaded off. And the people who are in the road won't be able to come into the avenue where you go to make salam. So that's one significant change that unfortunately PowerPoint didn't allow me to show you on the live video. So let's see where we can pick up from this time. Wants us to see the whole video again. Okay, good. So inshallah, that served as a good means of showing you what it is like walking in that particular avenue for those who have not been before. Allah willing, inshallah, Allah gives us the opportunity, we'll be able to share with you, maybe not in the session today, but some other visuals to orient you properly. And why I recommend that you sometimes do your Rawda visit after a few days. Many of the groups will do a walking ziyarah in Madinah al-Munawwarah. So there are real life-size inscriptions of this avenue where you go to greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, where we can actually do like a mock-up on the road so that you actually execute with ihsan and excellence. What do we say when we greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu? We use a management adage in the masjid, so we'll be respectful. The acronym spells as KISS. K-I-S-S. Keep it sweet and simple. You don't have the time, especially on your first encounter, to go into lengthy greetings of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, because you don't want to be fumbling over notes and over cards and over kitabs, but you want to connect with Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, and that is more important. Right? So having the essence of what needs to be done in your mind and then executing with ihsan and excellence based on your level of knowledge and ta'aleem and study, etc., is what is matloob and desired. Don't feel shortchanged because, oh, the person next to me is reciting these long incantations and du'as. No. If you want to do that, alhamdulillah, but then go and learn and study them beforehand. And don't just know them in Arabic. Know the meaning of what you recite. Otherwise, it's empty. You will see people moved, subhanAllah, in terms of the entire duration of your trip. But when you listen to them reciting Arabic, you can strain your ears to ask, like, is this person reciting in Arabic or they're reciting in some other language? They're reciting in Arabic, but it sounds like some other language because their dialect is so skewed and their pronunciation is, we would say, so weak, but they're connecting with their heart. Whereas you may be able to recite with excellent tajweed because you've been privy to learning how to read in Arabic, but you don't know the meaning of what you recite. So you're not connecting spiritually. And it's important, subhanAllah, that you connect spiritually. So, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alayka ya Habiballah. Assalamu alayka ya khayra khalqillah. 3 short phrases. Assalamu alaykum, peace be upon you, O the beloved of Allah. Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, peace be upon you, O the messenger of Allah. Peace be upon you, O the best of Allah's creation. And that is literally all the time you would have before you are pushed. Naturally, on successive days, you can add in Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah, meaning peace and salutation upon you as the messenger of Allah from Maymuna, my sister, Rashida, my mother. Understand? So the first one, keep it sweet and simple. Get an understanding of the process and what you're doing. And then on successive days and successive visits, even on the same day, you can greet on behalf of others. It's not being selfish. It's about being able to understand what you should do. I use the example and the analogy of with regards to Salah. Did you learn to observe Salah all at once? So everything you know in terms of how you observe Salah today, you learned in one class? No. Slowly you learn, oh, I should recite this between the 2 sujood, and I should recite that tasbih when I come up for ruku, the additional sunan and nawafil and mustahabbat. So similarly here, subhanAllah, with your journey of Hajj, on the first run or iteration of anything, keep to the bare minimum and basic and understand what to do properly. And then successive days, you embellish it and you add beauty to it, inshallah. Okay, these are just general pictures. Now, the green carpet story. I mentioned that the sisters would say, no, we go to the Rawdah every day with no appointment. Green carpet, red carpet means nothing in the current disposition of both harams of Madinah al-Munawwarah and Makkah al-Mukarram. Right? We know that the Rawdah is between the mimbar, the steps, the long steps to go and give the khutbah, and the house. I'm using steps because sisters may not be familiar with what the mimbar looks like. Okay, alhamdulillah, in this facility they can see 1/10 of the mimbar on their end in the front by the curtain. Right? So you would get access as sisters to the courtyard. Just means that you are closer to Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. For brothers and sisters, every time you enter the haram, you know which direction Qibla is. And you know more or less in which direction the green dome is. What stops you from inclining your position slightly towards the green dome and greeting Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Nothing. So I entered the haram. I'm facing Qibla, so you are facing Qibla. And you know the green dome is kind of to the left of the haram as brothers and sisters now. So you look in that direction and greet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And then do whatever ibadah you're going to do. And before you exit the haram, similarly, Assalamu alayka ya Rasulullah. Assalamu alayka ya Habiballah. Assalamu alayka ya khayra khalqillah. And then you turn and you be on your way. So you have the opportunity of greeting Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam all the time, other than reciting durood and salawat, physically greeting Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam from whichever position you are in the haram. Brothers, don't allow this to make you lazy to say, oh, why do I need to go to the front? So you will go to the front. At minimum, we said once a day. If you can, subhanAllah, more than once a day. Good. You must also fight groupthink. Every person who's coming to the haram for every salah is saying what? After salam, we greet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So is it the smartest idea to go after you make your 2 sunnah? No, because everyone's going there. So naturally, you want to delay. So your entire Hajj trip, approach it with this mode of what is everyone doing now, and tweak it slightly, and subhanAllah, you'll be able to find many niches and many gaps. We don't have the time to outline all of those. Okay, we covered this picture before, spoke about the sisters and the misconception surrounding what is a Rawdah. We've seen this before. Let's skip. So subhanAllah, this picture, to close off this segment that we had targeted, we would finish before the break, half an hour ago. At minimum once a day, brothers, take the women folk that are traveling with you, whoever you are serving as maharim for, plural of mahram, so that they get this view from one or other side of the haram. Because in our minds, as humans, we've connected Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam with the imagery of the green dome. So walk with the women folk that you are traveling with somewhere onto the courtyard, so they are privy to this view to allow them, subhanAllah, to greet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Even though they can greet, as we mentioned, in the masjid from anywhere, take them, whether they are going to the masjid or not going to the masjid, and we're all adult enough to appreciate what I'm saying. Take them to greet Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam once again. On the backdrop of greeting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, treat them to ice cream. Good, subhanAllah, maximum benefit. So part of the brief was to cover how ziyarat of Madinah to Munawwar. The most important thing is this 18 to 25 minutes of our entire time. Now, there are nuances to every day that we spend in Madinah al-Munawwar, and very fleetingly we want to cover some of those. Right? So this next portion of the presentation, we speak about areas where you can derive maximum benefit. You don't have total control over your itinerary, because your operator and your group is going to tell you ziyarah is on this day and this is on that. But if you truly want to have a mind-blowing experience and visit to Madinah al-Munawwara, then inshallah the next few slides will maybe pivot you to doing what the group is doing anyway, but on a different day. So let's see. Good. I shared with you some dates. I'm not referring to tomorrow, right? I'm referring to physical dates. I told you about the 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd of May. As an example, many of you will be in Madinah al-Munawwara. So that's a Monday, and then the 13th, 14th, 15th of Dhul Qa'dah as the white days, Ayyamul Bid, when people fast. If you have the ability to fast, fast. And you don't have to fast all 4 of these days consecutively. If you want to try out fasting in this temperature, then consider a Monday rather than a Thursday. Why? See the impact of you fasting on Monday and Tuesday Asr time. And then decide whether you have the capacity to fast on Thursday, because you don't want it to negatively affect your Jummah. Follow the thinking. And if you are okay with fasting, some of you maybe, subhanAllah, maybe you even fast Som Dawood every alternate day. Allah make us from amongst you. Then you're going to fast all these days, right? Even if you're not fasting, please partake. Please partake in iftar. What's the trick? Don't eat before the Maghrib Adhan. This is not meant solely for people who are fasting. And neither is it meant for the poor Hujjaj. So we have this superiority complexes out there. No. It's for the poor Hujjaj. La wallah. The hospitality of the people of Madinah al-Munawwara is for the guests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All, even the billionaires. Not some dollar billionaires, right? Dollar billionaires. It's for all, even on Hajj. The water that's being shared, the juice that's being shared, it's not for the poor Hujjaj. Because if you look at the description of what entitles you to make Hajj, everyone who's on Hajj is not poor. Because if you didn't have money, you wouldn't be on Hajj. So every person who's there, whether they have more or less in their bank balance or pocket or purse than you, they're rich. That's why Allah brought them on Hajj. So Bashara and glad tidings to you, don't go tell anyone that you are poor. Because now that you are going for Hajj, you are classified as rich. Alhamdulillah. And may Allah increase your wealth. Ameen. Partake in this because it's a sunnah of Madinah al-Munawwara. And subhanAllah, it links you back to imagine what it must have been in the time of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yes, the iftar was very simple. The people passing around dates, passing around tea, passing around kahwa, and passing around water. Understand? And seeing how Ikram Muslim in terms of food, subhanAllah, physically took place. From amongst the first utterings of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he entered Madinah al-Munawwara. And he encountered at that stage a Jewish rabbi whose name was Abdullah ibn Salam, who came to be a companion of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he say? Afshu salam, spread salam. And this is a big part of Hajj. Greet every person, even the non-Muslim check-in class. Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma'am. Remembering, it's a teaching of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Increase in greeting and increase in talbiyah. So Afshu salam, at'imu ta'am, share food. So subhanAllah, this is part of the sharing food and you getting to partake of this. Like I said, don't eat before the adhan. Good. So subhanAllah, this is some of what you would find on the table spread. Zamzam, dates, sometimes dipped in coconut, kahwa, Arab coffee, black tea. Other than at iftar time before the Maghrib adhan, tea is shared on the evenings when there's iftar till Isha. Partake. So there's black tea, there's mint tea, there's ginger tea. This stuff will keep you making ibadah for many more hours. That's why you're going to partake. There's yogurt, and then there's this powder in the sachet at the bottom of the picture called tukka. So you shake the yogurt, show them like you experience. No, don't arrive there like a novice. Shake the yogurt, everyone will learn from you. Throw the powder inside, mix it with the spoon, and subhanAllah, you eat it with the bread. Good. And inshallah, may you enjoy many cups of Zamzam, looking at Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, and you will remember this picture in this setting and make dua for us. Okay, so let's go through unique things to do. Fasting, we said Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, right? All of those days because they're the white days, etc. On the Wednesday, we've all seen and received this message, whether it's the e-poster, the same one, that's the most popular one, or the message that says, Wednesday dua reminder. Anyone seen this? Make dua after Dhuhr on Wednesday. Where did this stem from? This stemmed from the site of the Battle of the Trench. Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu made dua on numerous days, and his dua was accepted on Wednesday. So you're going to be in Madinah al-Munawwara if you're doing 4 weeks plus. So you're going to be there for a full cycle of a week. You cannot not go to Masjid al-Fath after Dhuhr, to the site where this dua was accepted, and then go and make dua between Dhuhr and Asr at Masjid al-Fath, at the site of the Battle of the Trench. So for the rest of your life, when Wednesday comes, what will you remember? Allah, you granted me the opportunity of being where this practice initiated and originated. As you accepted the dua of Muhammad Sallallahu, then accept my dua now. Connect and subhanAllah, leverage of your trip for the rest of your life is the message that I'm sharing with you, subhanAllah, from this. Thursday, the day encouraged to visit Uhud is the day of Thursday. So your ziyarah normally is going to be scheduled, your ziyarah by bus is going to be scheduled for Saturday. Nothing stops you from taking a taxi on a Thursday morning after breakfast because your fajr is early, spending some time at Uhud, and then returning in good time for Dhuhr. How long before Salah must you be in the Haram? An hour. How long before Dhuhr must you leave Uhud at the latest? 2 hours before. So you can get back to the hotel, use the bathroom, etc., etc., and still be inside the Haram an hour before Salah. Time is running. Let's go. So that's Thursday. And then naturally Friday is Jummah. When sisters will be leveraging off the best utilization of their single appointment to the Rawdah on Friday morning after Fajr, where will brothers be? Visiting Jannatul Baqi. But I don't know where this qubur of significant people are. Hey, everyone that's lying in Jannatul Baqi is significant, because they will be the first people who will raise up when the throne and the trumpet is sounded. Good. What happens when you enter at the entrance? So that's on the bottom right hand side of the picture. Only brothers will be privy to this inside visit. Then they will channel you along the outer perimeter. So you'll turn right. You'll have no choice. They will chaperone you to the right, and you'll walk on the outer perimeter. What's the trick? Walk on the outer perimeter as much as possible till they direct you otherwise. And for as long as you are in there, if you are able to recite Surah Yasin, recite. If not, at minimum, subhanAllah, recite the 3 quls, Qul Wallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu Birabbil Falaq, Qul A'udhu Birabbin Nas, continuously, and send as Isal Sawab for all the inhabitants of Jannatul Baqi. Encompassing in there the Ummahatul Mu'mineen, the family of Muhammad Sallallahu, the aunts of Muhammad Sallallahu, Uthman radiallahu anhu was buried, subhanAllah. You know what's a unique thing in terms of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His divine plan has centered certain things? When you stand at the qabr of Uthman radiallahu anhu, you will appreciate that it's the qabr of Muhammad sallallahu that you greet, and then the qabr of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and then the qabr of Umar radiallahu anhu, and then a distance away, exactly in the same line, it's the qabr of Uthman radiallahu anhu. It's Allah's divine plan. Good. So, brothers, something, an activity that you could champion on Friday, even if the group's not doing it. You don't need the alim, the scholar, the guide, the khadim to take you. You'll know where Jannatul Baqi is. It's to the front left-hand corner of the haram. When you go for your Rawdah appointment, you'll see, here's Jannatul Baqi. Friday morning after Fajr, you exit the haram, you enter into Jannatul Baqi. There's a map of Jannatul Baqi. And then Saturday, this is a view that you won't see anymore. All these buildings. Picture on the right-hand side, sisters, all the buildings that you're seeing on the 2 sides of the picture on the right-hand side no longer exist. So you have a fully paved walkway. I'm sure you've seen those Instagram posts on your Hajj and WhatsApp groups. fully paved walkway to Masjid Quba. Two unique sunan with regards to Masjid Quba. What are they? We kind of bring both together because of the shortness of our stay. So the one sunnah is Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu would visit Quba on Saturdays. It doesn't say he would visit Masjid Quba on Saturdays. It says Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu would visit the suburb of Quba on Saturdays. Why? Because this was the first community that hosted him Sallallahu on the backdrop of the Hijrah. So as a token of appreciation and gratitude, Muhammad Sallallahu diligently, conscientiously for the entire stay and his existence in Madinah al-Munawwarah up until his separation from us in this temporal world, he visited the suburb of Quba on Saturdays to teach us what? Gratitude. So that's the sunnah linked to Saturday. He would spend time with the people of the suburb, the elderly, the widows, the children, etc., and then return to Masjid al-Nabawi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before the Dhuhr. That's one unique sunnah. The other sunnah is من تطهر في بيته ثم أتى إلى المسجد فصلى فيه ركعتين كان كأجر عمره. It doesn't specify a time, a date, a place. At any time of the day that is permissible to make salah, observe 2 rakat salah in Masjid Quba, and you would be entitled to the reward of an umrah. The hadith starts by saying, Man tatahara fi bayti. Whoever takes wudu in their home. Where's your home? The hotel. So I hope, inshallah, you've all taken your wudu tablets, because when the bus reaches Masjid Quba, you should still be on wudu, as best as possible. So normally when we do ziyarah, we start at Masjid Quba, because like your wudu game is not so strong, right? So if we end at Masjid Quba 3 hours into the ziyarah, and you don't have wudu at all, so you're not getting the full essence of the hadith. So if you can, encourage your group to start the ziyarah at Quba, and end it wherever else. So subhanAllah, for us in Madinah al-Munawwarah, anytime we hire a bus to go anywhere, Quba trip included. Must. It's going to cost us an extra 100 riyals to tip the bus driver. No problem. Take us to Quba, we want 10 minutes. Just go in, make our 2 rakat salah, be on our way out. Scoring the reward of an umrah. Like I said, you would generally end up doing this on Saturday because your group schedules the ziyarah for Saturday. You now appreciate why, because you bring 2 sunnah practices together. But the sunnah of visiting Quba is not exclusive to Saturday. If you can, though your Isha is late and you have, subhanAllah, you know you're not going to miss your Tahajjud and your Fajr, Friday after Maghrib, which means what day is it already? Saturday. Go to Masjid Quba in the evening. And then naturally the marketplaces in Madinah al-Munawwarah. This would be a distance away from where the built-up areas are, right? This is only currently existent on the dome side, so on the Qibla side of Masjid al-Nabawi. To appreciate when people speak about the gullies and the avenues of Madinah al-Munawwarah, what it was like. Trade and bargain with the people of Madinah al-Munawwarah. Haggle, but don't oppress. So bargain. Part of the sunnah of trading in Madinah al-Munawwarah is to bargain. Don't pay the marked price, but also don't oppress. So the street vendors, make sure you don't shortchange them. And subhanAllah, we're looking for opportunities of earning reward. I should have started with this verse. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu idha najaytumur rasula faqaddimu bayna yaday najwaakum sadaqah. Allah mentions in the first surah of the 28 Juz, O you who believe, idha najaytumur rasul. When you are planning to have discourse with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, faqaddimu bayna yaday najwaakum sadaqah. So proceed your discussion with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by discharging sadaqah. You will know when is your Rawda appointment. So before that, make specific niyyah of practicing on this ayah. You may not remember the ayah. The ayah that guy referenced in our class, Allah, for your pleasure, I'm giving sadaqah before my appointment. Allah knows what you're referring to. You don't have to remember the ayah number and the surah number and all of that. Good? So, and a way of being able to give charity and sadaqah with ease. Because people have honor as human beings. Haggle with someone on the street. No, this bunch of 12 tasbees is 20 riyals. Then, no, pay you 15. It's like, no, 18. Then, no, 15. It's like, no, 16. Then you give him 18. It's like, no, the 2 riyals are yours. What was your niyyah? Then, no, that's for you. What was your niyyah? Sadaqah. I'm using a very simple, trivial example, but you get the idea, right? Madinah al-Munawwarah. Subhanallah. Through the eyes of one of the young girls from Pretoria, picture taken on Umrah, December 2021. Okay. Subhanallah. At the very end, you will have that sad feeling when you need to depart from Madinah to Munawwar. We're not done with our presentation yet. So you will have to prepare for your trip to Makkah al-Mukarramah. The beauty, and all of us must take cognizance of this, the beauty of the way Hajj is administered in our part of the world is we visit Madinah al-Munawwar first. Why? Because we want to use the miqat for Hajj that Muhammad utilized. There are many other mawaqit which may be covered tomorrow, subhanAllah. And in keeping with this, you now have the toss-up between must I take the bus or take the train to Makkah al-Mukarramah, right? Choose whichever one you want. But remember what's the reason why you are visiting Madinah al-Munawwar first. So that you could use the miqat. So even if it costs you extra money, make sure that even if you are taking the train 2 hours before the time that your group is leaving from the hotel, you go to the miqat and fulfill this great sunnah. Because the miqat is in one direction and the train platform is in another direction. Right? They don't tell you about this when they sell you and tell you to book the train tickets. So keep this in mind, subhanAllah. The reason you generally visit Madinah al-Munawwara first as a South African Hajj is because you want to use the miqat that Muhammad used for your entry into Makkah al-Mukarramah. So this is the miqat. It's called Bir Ali. It's not named after Ali Radhan. It's named after a Sudanese man who came many years later. If I'm saying Sudanese, it already meant that we had the nation state, right? It's also known as Dhul Hulayfa. It's one of the most elaborate mawaqi, plural of miqat, in terms of facilities at current. The challenge here is it's offset at 45 degrees within the outer walls. So this is the outer wall. Oops. This is the outer wall of the masjid. Good. And the masjid and the qibla is offset 45 degrees on the inside, which means in terms of orientation, when you enter, you sometimes get confused. Why? Because there's mirror image parking lots at both ends. So make sure you enter with your group and you cognizant of whether you've entered on the southern side or northern side. One side is red signage, the other side is green signage. So even if you can't remember north or south, remember whether you saw red or green. No pun intended. All right, because now we have to discuss the seeing red for the sisters. So subhanAllah, whichever side you enter, make sure you exit on that side because your bus will be on that side. What happens when you get to the miqat? You need to enter the masjid and observe 2 rakats tahiyatul masjid, and then observe your 2 rakah of ihram, which I'm sure inshallah Morana doctor will pick up from tomorrow. Very important here once again. Who is responsible for your fard salah to be observed on time? Your operator is not going to answer to Allah. You are going to answer to Allah. So if a salah time is about to come in, tarry, delay. I'm not talking about 1 hour's time. I'm talking about 10 minutes time. Make sure you observe the salah before you board the bus. Why? The buses are instructed to only make one stop on a 500-kilometer journey. So say, for instance, you left late morning and you cleared the miqat before dhuhr. They won't stop for dhuhr and asr. Appreciating maghrib is late because you have a long day. They will stop once. So if dhuhr is coming in, observe dhuhr and then leave. If it's too early for dhuhr, make sure that they stop at 3 o'clock. Then you observe dhuhr and then you tarry a bit and then you observe asr in its earliest time. It's a little bit of a tricky discussion. Those who catch on don't catch on. And those, mashallah, who follow Shafi fiqh, make sure that you either make niyyah of taqdeem, of bringing your asr early, or ta'khir, taking your dhuhr late. Those that know, they know, isn't it? Aap le mansa. I don't hear any giggles. Okay, alhamdulillah, we comfortable. Good. Make sure, brothers, before you depart from the miqat, that you don't have any underwear. Because brothers are like, no, I won't take off my boxes till I make my meal. Then you forget your boxes. Happens. Good. So when you actually wear your ihram, which you will most likely do at your hotel, like the physical clothing, no niyyah, nothing, just wear the 2 pieces of cloth. Every other man is doing exactly the same. Right? So you don't run the risk of forgetting. Sisters, very important, subhanAllah, with regards to the miqat, is to remember that you should remove all jewelry. We can only visibly see maybe rings on your fingers. But because you are wearing hijab, we can't see earrings. necklaces, belly rings, toe rings, all of these need to be removed. They are all means of jewelry and adornment. So subhanAllah, don't come to the miqat and then, oops, I've had this nose ring in my nose for so many years. Remove it beforehand. So those were just a few pointers I thought I would share with regards to ihram, which inshallah will be covered tomorrow, and your departure from Madinah to Munawwar. Maybe one or two more things. Don't prepare for ihram on the day of departure. What am I saying? Trimming your nails, removing unwanted hair, not on the day of departure, the day prior, in case you cut, as an example. With regards to packing your bags, so you went to Madinah to Munawwara, medium bag packed in the large bag, right? And you're going to exit Madinah to Munawwara how? Medium bag full, large bag full, 2 additional bags that you bought in the marketplace also full. But now, the night beforehand, your last night in Madinah to Munawwara, most probably in the hours when you're going to greet your last greeting to Muhammad Sallallahu, do you want to be removing packaging, the extra plastic, and packing the bags? No. So set it in yourself, in your routine, that as the days go by, whatever purchases you make, bag them, like pack them. So the last night is not worrying about the trivial and mundane. It's connecting with why you came to Madinah to Munawwara, which is subhanAllah very important. Your last memories of Madinah to Munawwara mustn't be I was sitting on my bag and my wife was closing the zipper. It should be the moments I spent in the Hajj, because that's going to carry you spiritually for your Hajj. Okay, so this was the formal part of the presentation that I was supposed to complete, and then Maulana did say we can steal a few extra minutes. I will try and complete inshallah in 9 minutes by 10 p.m. Is there anyone who really needs to leave at 10? Please feel free to say.
You can carry on, Maulana, whoever needs to leave.
Yes, so whoever needs to leave, we've covered Madinah to Munawwara. There's 2 portions I would like to share. The one is surrounding managing your 24 hours of every day on your entire trip. If you can grasp this, subhanAllah, I'll show you what a game changer it is between the perspective of every Hajj that's currently intending Hajj and those who have sat through this portion of the presentation. And the second one, I can inshallah, hopefully you will allow some humor. I don't think is really applicable to you because you're from Lodium. So like, you know what I'm saying? Budget is not a major issue for you guys. No. So it's just one how to think and plan in terms of budgeting. All right, so you will see now this one. Okay, questions. This is like, now this is all the extra. Halmi mazid, doing time. Good, so brothers and sisters, this is an Arabic saying. It says, time is like a sword. Al-waqt ka-sayf. Illam taqta'ahu faqata'ak. If you don't cut it, it will cut you. If you don't cut it, it will cut you. We were told that Isha Jama'ah would be at 7:15. I appreciate it. Some of us have people looking after our children, etc., etc. Were we here at 7:15? I wasn't. I blame that on my host. Okay? On Hajj, being late could mean your death. And I'm not even joking. One of the rules, so I'm sure all of you use MS Teams, right? Most of you. Work meetings, Teams. If you're the 5th person to join a Teams call, what happens? Automatically you are muted, which means what? You're late. My teachers taught me that if I'm 5 minutes late for a meeting, I'm 5 minutes late times the number of people who are in the meeting. Because I've wasted that many times 5 minutes of other people's lives. So on Hajj, for every engagement, and inshallah for the rest of your life, for every engagement, you want to be there before the designated time. Not say, but I know they'll run late because they're all, no. I'll be there on time. We know what our spiritual forex are, so we have something to keep us busy. Good, so let's go, subhanAllah. You've seen the salat times, you're familiar with this. Thumb rule number 1, in terms of managing time, we said for every waqt, I must be in the place of salah an hour before salah. What does this mean? It doesn't mean that at 3:15 I must leave my hotel room for Fajr. No, it means at 3:15 I must be inside Masjid al-Nabawi. Now I must work back to say, okay, the walking time from my room to the lift, pressing the button, waiting for the lift, getting to the foyer, walking out of the hotel, walking across the courtyard is 9 minutes. So I must leave my room at latest by 3:03. To be inside the masjid at 3:15. Get what I'm saying? What does this approach do to you? It creates a sense of self-discipline. In every couple, like I'm also married, alhamdulillah, in every couple, one person is always dragging their feet, putting the scarf right. Brother is not sure whether his hair is gelled right, not sure whether he should wear this pair of shoes. One person is always delaying. So now you don't land up with this tenseness between a husband and wife of, I'm always waiting for you. Because we each adopt this approach and we know what needs to be done, subhanAllah. So that's thumb rule number 1 surrounding time. Good. I'm going to go through, subhanAllah, a unique approach to your 24 hours in 3 slides. We would generally say that when we, in the Arab world, they are nocturnal society. Do as the Romans do, we normally say, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So in Madinah al-Munawwara, do as the Madani do, the Madanites do. But that won't work. You'll shortchange yourself. Or you can adopt an approach of saying, I come from a diurnal society, we work in the day, we sleep at night. I'll make ibadah in the day, I'll rest at night. Also won't work. What will work? This will work, inshallah. So we break every 24 hours into segments of 8 hours. Now let's ask a question. In every 24 hours of your life as a human, aside from being a Muslim, there's a few basic things you want to do. Which are what? All of you are on the verge of doing one right now. Sleeping. Good. Okay, fine. Other than sleeping, what else? Working. And other than that? Eating. So sisters will be able to relate to this. Eat, pray. They don't read books in the society. Love. Right, so eat, pray, sleep. Eat, pray, love is a book. So let's break up each day into segments of 8 hours. And in those 8 hours, we want to do what a human being does, which is what? Work, eat, sleep. So you're living 3 days in a day. And that way you'll be the most productive. So inshallah, follow me. Maghrib at 18:56. What time I'm going to be in the haram? 17:56. Good. And I'm going to prepare before that. Let's say I'm going to leave my room at 17:45. Right? Good. Between Maghrib and Isha, there isn't time to exit the haram. Why? What was our thumb rule? An hour before Salah, be in the place of Salah. So at 19:26, I would need to be in for Isha. But if Maghrib Adhan went at 18:56 and they give time, let's just address this. It's not a Shafi 2 rakah Salah that we observe after the Maghrib Adhan. There are certain ahadith that speak about the sunnah of observing 2 rakah Salah after the Maghrib Adhan. So people of the other madahib follow this. For those who are following Hanafi fiqh, what do? Can you make Tahiyatul Masjid when you come into the masjid for Maghrib? No, because it's a makruh time. So don't stick out like a sore thumb when everyone is making 2 rakat salah. You're like, no, I'm a Hanafi. We don't do this. Nothing stops you from making Tahiyatul Masjid now. Because in the Hanafi madhab, you can delay your Tahiyatul Masjid. So while other people are making their sunnah, what do? You make your Tahiyatul Masjid. Good. As opposed to like everyone's like, oh, he must be Hanafi because he's not making salah now. So subhanAllah, when we enter the masjid, first thing we do is we enter with the right foot, make niyyah of nafil i'tikaf. We find a place a little bit away from the walkway. So you have to think, remember that scale I mentioned, 1,000 times scaled up to the biggest Muslim event you've attended or more, crowd control. If you are close to the walkway, the risk of congestion, the risk of stampeding, a little bit away from the walkway. Settle in 2 rakats Tahiyatul Masjid. Good. And then in this hour before Salah, because like this guy is saying, go for an hour before Salah, what am I going to do? Tahiyatul Masjid. Then you start tilawah. We've just come through the month of Ramadan. The average time it takes any of you, I can comfortably say, to read a juz of Quran is how long? Come volunteer, brothers. If you don't volunteer, like I'll start with 25 minutes, then you all, show me big eyes. 35 minutes, right? 38 minutes to read a juz of Quran, 30 pages. We've all went to madrasa. 35 minutes. So subhanAllah, you made Tahiyatul Masjid, you read 1 juz of Quran, still got a few minutes. Durood and salawat upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then some time for dua. So maybe there's 8 minutes left till the top of the hour, till the adhan goes. First day, 8 minutes. Next salah, 12 minutes. What are you doing in this exercise? By increasing the amount of time in dua, You're doing practice runs for Arafah. Wukuf starts at Zawal and ends when? Wukuf starts at Zawal and Arafah and ends when? They're like, that's in tomorrow's class. It ends at Fajr the next morning. Which of you can comfortably say you have capacity to make dua yourself for 8 to 12 hours? Anyone? MashaAllah, here's a real live case. How is Irfan, you want to tell them what happened? Hajj Irfan, what happened on your Arafah? The buses didn't come. They didn't come at midnight. They didn't come at 1 a.m. They were not even there by 2 a.m. From when? From Zawal till 2 the next morning. And people were on Arafah. And some people didn't know what to do with their time. But other people had prepared for Hajj properly. So they simply took out their dua journals and they made their duas again and again and again. So you're going to build your capacity to make dua in this 1 hour before Salah. First Salah, 8 minutes. Next Salah, 10 minutes. Next Salah, 12 minutes. Understand? Trialing different aspects of your dua. Dua for your children, the 8 minutes. I'm not saying you should make less dua for your children, but you get the idea, right? Dua for your parents, dua for yourself, dua for your career. And you're going to trial all of this, subhanAllah, over every salah iteratively for the 3 weeks before your actual Hajj. So when you come to Arafah, it's like your youngsters who have to go home and supervise their speeches for tomorrow morning. I don't know if anyone has speech to give tomorrow in school. Understand? Your discourse with Allah is prepared and rehearsed and polished. And the dua is then from your heart, as opposed to from a paper or a book or some other Maulana's dua. Good. Now, dinner is served at the hotels between 7 p.m. and 10 p.m. The fallacy of booking full board. In the current setting, how are you going to honor dinner? Isha Adhan at 2026. Salah will start by 2056. By the time you finish Salah and your Sunnah and your Nafal, will you get into the dining hall before 10? Yes. Will there be food left in the buffet? No. So the fallacy, subhanAllah, of subscribing to full board. If you already subscribe to full board, change it to FOOF, full board. It's too late now, right? Because you already hooked in your package. No problem. What I'm sharing here, brothers and sisters, is yes, after coming out after Isha, you're going to need to get something to eat, right? So that's going to be your food. And then, subhanAllah, you want to make sure that you are lying on your bed off your feet by 11 to wake up at what time? At 2. That's 3 hours of unbroken sleep. Why 3 hours? Any doctors? Doctor is gone. Any doctors? Sleep, which one?
Dr. Nabil.
Dr. Nabil. So sleep science. Doctor maybe will oppose me. Sleep science teaches us that we have alpha, beta, gamma rays of sleep. You know when you work a really hard week because you're pushing on a project or a deadline, and then you tell yourself, like, we're done today, I'm going to go and sleep early. And then you sleep 2 hours early and you wake up the next day and you feel worse. Why? Because you wake up in the wrong sleep cycle. So sleep science teaches us that your body functions best when you sleep in multiples of 1.5 hours. So it doesn't mean you sleep for 1.5 hours and then the alarm rings and then, no. You sleep continuously either for 3 hours or 4.5 hours or 6 hours. Or as an adult, you shouldn't be going more than that. 7.5 hours. If you're sleeping more than 7.5 hours consecutively, continuously, your organs are going into shutdown. Good? So 7.5 hours at the stretch. So you got 3 hours sleep. So let's check this 8 hours. We did a juz before Maghrib, a juz between Maghrib and Isha. On the back of every salah. Remember I spoke about group think. Immediately after Isha, what's everyone thinking? Food. So what's the queues at all the outlets? Heavy. So on the back of every salah, spend 15 or 20 minutes wherever you made your sunnah, making ibadah. What happens? The congestion in the walkways and the thoroughfares eases. So I come from a perspective of industrial engineering. We do time and method study. We those people back in the day used to have stopwatches, and clipboards, and then we watch what everyone does. He took 15 minutes for coffee, right? So time and method study shows that if you spend 15 to 20 minutes making ibadah, where you completed after your sunnah and your nafal, versus the person who left immediately when the imam said, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, the person who left immediately, what's the net difference in terms of getting to the same flow in the same hotel? 2 minutes. because that person stood in the queue like a penguin trying to walk out of the haram. Then he had to be in the congestion on the haram courtyard. Then he had to wait another 10 minutes to get a chance to get into the club to get to his floor. Compared to the person who spent the 15 minutes making ibadah, and then he walked out and there was no congestion on the courtyard. And then he got to the hotel floor and everyone was already gone to their rooms. So he pressed the button and the lift came and then he went to his floor. See what I'm sharing? So inshallah, hopefully that will be inside. So okay, our 8 hours here started at 17:56, correct? So that's 1800. 1800 to 2 a.m. How many hours? 8 hours. In the 8 hours, what did you do? You got 3 hours sleep. I'll show you how much of Quran you recited, other than the durood and other than the dua. And subhanAllah, you got something to eat, pray, sleep. Let's go, next cycle. So we're waking up at 2 a.m. We're going to be in the haram by 3:15. So you wake up at 2 a.m., whether you take a shower at this time, whether you have a cup of coffee, whatever else, 3:15, you're in the haram. Fajr Adhan at 4:15. Subhanallah, we know the role, 1 hour before Salah, what we do. Then, subhanallah, after Fajr, this, subhanallah, also can change your routine in a sense of your routine will be seamless. Now you're tired and you're saying, let me leave after Fajr and go and sleep. But now, what's the big meal in the day? Breakfast, because all your packages include breakfast, isn't it? And you must eat breakfast like a king. And I'm not being chauvinist. Even sisters, you must eat like a king, like a man. Breakfast must be huge, subhanAllah. If you like chocolate donuts, have one white chocolate and one brown chocolate. Wallahi, eat. The adage, sisters, that says once it's on the lips, it's on the hips, it doesn't apply on Hajj. You're going to burn all of this out. You must eat, subhanAllah, at breakfast. But don't take a full plate from the buffet and walk out of the dining room. This is unbecoming of a Muslim. You have right of usage, not right of ownership, in terms of what's served in the buffet. Good. So, if you remain in the haram after Fajr, what happens? You can recite another juz of Quran. You can make lots of dua, and you want to stay till the time of shuruq, till the time of sunrise. 12, 15 minutes after sunrise, you observe Salatul Ishraq. So this schedule, structure that I'm sharing with you, allows you to make lots of tilawah every day, allows you lots of sleep, which I'll share with you, and allows you to encapsulate in your program, in Madinah al-Munawwara, in Makkah al-Mukarramah, in Azizah, and on the days of Hajj, all the additional nawafil salah. You are going on a trip of ibadah. Good. So subhanAllah, no one breaks it down for you in a sense of saying, this is how you do it. They tell you, do it, but they don't tell you how to do it. So this is the how to do it. Good. So breakfast will normally be served from 6:30. Why? Because Fajr is early. If those who have went for Umrah in December, etc., they'll tell you, no, breakfast opens at 7. That's when Fajr is late in winter. I'm talking about Saudi winter. So breakfast, subhanAllah, opens at 6:30. If you make Ishraq, you comfortably walk into the breakfast hall when it opens. If you don't make Ishraq and go back to the room, now what happens? You go to sleep. And then you wake up somewhere in the morning and what happens? You missed breakfast, the included meal for the day. At an exchange rate of what? 5 point? Who's been checking the exchange rate? 5.2, 5.3, 5.10, so 5.1. 5.28 versus 5.1. So, okay, somewhere in the region of 5 plus. The breakfast you're going to buy on the street is not going to be as sumptuous as the breakfast that's served in the hotel, even though you may be staying in a 3-star hotel. So keep that in mind, subhanAllah. If you do Ishraq, you're scoring breakfast. Now, the self of self-discipline. The body functions best when you sleep in multiples of 1.5 hours. So if you want to be up at, let's say, 10:45, to get ready in time to be in the haram an hour before Dhuhr, what time must you go to bed to get 3 hours sleep? 7:45. What happens at breakfast? Because it's the one time when the whole group connects. Abdurrahman slides into the table with that. Assalamu alaikum, how are you, Haji? My name is Abdurrahman, I'm Binoni. You have a comfortable excuse to tell a person, brother, wallahi, really nice meeting you, but I have an appointment. Are you lying? What's your appointment with? Your bed? Because you're not lying. So you're going to get another 3 hours sleep. Brothers would say, but what happens on the day? And sisters would say, what happens on the day when I go for ziyarah? Okay, we're going to come to that in the next slide. So once again here, 8 hours. What did you get? 3 hours sleep. All the nawafil, salah, tahajjud, ishraq. Good. Lots of Quran before Fajr, after Fajr, etc. And I'll show you, subhanAllah, a synopsis of that just now. The last 8 hours of the day, wake up for Dhuhr at 10:45 at 11, you're in the Haram by 11:18, Dhuhr at 12:18, between Dhuhr and Asr. One of the most amazing sunan of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu. Alhamdulillah, I had the opportunity of practicing on it before coming here today, which is what? The afternoon siesta. Yes, brothers and sisters, I work in the corporate world. But during my lunch hour, I take a nap. Anyone work in the tech space? So Google, as the best tech co in the world, tells you what? Come to work with a pillow and a light blanket. Other people have found the wisdom in the Sunnah of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu, and we have lost it. You all are weary-eyed now because you didn't take an afternoon nap. In and out of the month of Ramadan. In the afternoon, appreciating Asr is at what time? What South Africans call Shafi time. But awal waqt, the earliest time. So between Dhuhr and Asr, you don't have a big gap. So you'll have enough time for a 20-minute to 40-minute nap. Anything more than 40 minutes, you will feel groggy. So on the days when you did ziyarah in the morning, the nap is 40 minutes. On the other days, it's 20 minutes. What do I do for lunch? I had a big breakfast. What do I do for lunch? For lunch, on my first day in Madinah al-Munawwarah, I go to the supermarket. I buy fruit, I buy drinks, I buy bread, whatever I need. And I do lunch in the room. Then, subhanAllah, after Asr, oops, I have this huge gap till Maghrib. What time I have to be in the Haram? 17:56. So by the time you come out of Asr, it will be 16:30. You have over an hour, which is me time. Shopping, trying out different food, connecting with the children at home, etc., etc. This as our last 8 hours, subhanAllah, gives us what? A short nap, a small meal, and lots of ibadah. Did I drop the summary slide? Yeah, good. So that's everything that I've shared with you in the last 3 slides arranged differently. Maybe you want to take a picture of this one. As an adult, are you getting 6.5 hours of sleep a day? If you are, Allah, you're wasting your life. How much tilawah? I'm going to show you just now. How much time spent making ibadah? 10.5 dedicated hours sitting in one place in the Haram making ibadah. Okay? And how much of time doing everything else, washing laundry, phone calls, catching up on WhatsApp, everything else? 7 hours. Let's see how this looks in terms of just tilawah, not dua, not adhkar. Before Maghrib, 1 juz. After Maghrib, 1.5 juz. Till Isha. After Isha, another half juz. The 20 minutes we spoke about. Before Fajr, 1 juz. After Fajr, 1.5 juz. Before Dhuhr, 1 juz. After Dhuhr, half juz. Before Asr, 1 juz. After Asr, half juz. Why? I mentioned to Maulana, we do Hajj training that ends on the 15th of Sha'ban. You trial this in Ramadan. You refine it. When you go to Hajj, Hal jazā'u l-ihsāni illa l-ihsān. You execute with excellence. You push yourself a little bit, brothers and sisters. You'll do 10 juz a day as a non-hafiz. If you told yourself, I'm going to make 1 khatam in Madinah al-Munawwarah and 1 khatam in Makkah al-Mukarramah, can you see how you're shortchanging yourself? You can make 1 khatam in Madinah al-Munawwarah before your Rawdah appointment and then complete that khatam in the Rawdah. Then make a 2nd khatam in Madinah al-Munawwarah and complete it on your Jum'ah in Medina. And then make a 3rd khatam in Madinah al-Munawwarah if you're doing 9 days and say, Allah, when I see the Kaaba for the first time, I'm going to anoint my dua at the first sighting of the Kaaba together with the dua of Khatm Quran. Every day, the whole trip. Your 6 days of Hajj, appreciating Arafah is a very busy day and the core thrust is dua. In the 3 days of pelting, the 11th, 12th and 13th, can finish a whole khatam of Quran on Hajj, brothers and sisters. Don't allow anyone to sell you short, to tell you, no, 1 khatam in Medina, 1 khatam in Makkah. Wallahi, waste of your time. Waste of your time. For a $250,000 drop for many of you. And let's not be shy. You're spending like 200K a person on Hajj, right? Okay. Maybe 150. Fine. If you're not going all 5 stars. For 350,000 rand, you're telling me we can't invest our time this way? Definitely we can. Subhanallah. So don't shortchange yourself on this journey. Some of the aspects I've shared around time, you can start trialing now. Maybe you can't take a nap during the work day, Saturday and Sunday. Try taking a nap. And you're worried about, if I don't fall asleep, I can't sleep in the day. Your body gets 60% the rest it would get, even if your eyes don't close. Just stay off your feet. You don't have to count sheep and all of that. It's fine. Just stay off your feet. Inshallah, you'll get the rest that your body requires. We are very over. Okay, mashallah. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن والعجز والكسل والبخل والجبن وضلعة الدين وغلبة الرجال. So this is a dua from the Sunnah of Habibuna Mustafa Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. My last presentation was to a primarily Afrikaans audience. So hence the caption on the slide. Good, subhanAllah. Maulana asked for this. How are we going? Okay, so we've 10, 14. Can we go 15 minutes more? Brothers and sisters, how long is a 6-week Hajj trip? 7 weeks. How they count the weeks is differently. Some count from day of departure to the first day of Hajj. Some count from day of departure to the last day of Hajj. Some count from first night in Madinah al-Munawwarah to the first day of Hajj. Some count from first day of Madinah al-Munawwarah to the last day of Hajj, irrespective of how the different groups count. And you came to realize this, right? When you try to compare packages. But this one says 5 weeks and it leaves on the 13th, and that one says 5 weeks and it leaves on the 17th. You all appreciate what I'm saying? Good. Irrespective of that, know that the services offered by your operator generally end when Hajj ends. So, who's departing to return home on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah? None of you. On the 14th of Dhul Hijjah, maybe few of you. None of you are allowed to return from Hajj from this part of the world except 48 hours after Hajj ending. If you leaving any earlier than that, it's because you're transiting through one of the main hubs, Doha, Abu Dhabi, Cairo, Istanbul. Right? What does this mean in terms of the question I asked? A 6-week Hajj trip is 7 weeks in terms of budget. A 5 weeks Hajj trip is 6 weeks. So it's still Hajj ends and the days thereafter. In each of the next 7 slides, I'm going to run through the bullets of the main line items that you would need to budget for. Week 1, transit meals. You're not traveling direct flight. No one doing Saudi Airlines here, right? No. So other than the part course, even if you're taking part course as a South African, which I would encourage, you have to buy drinks because you can't carry the drinks in your hand luggage. So you have to budget for that. And that's at what cost? Cost on the air side, not on the land side. So you know the monopoly of airports, right? 15 Rand cool drink costs how much? On the other side, 35. And you're going to be paying in international currency. Setup costs, what I referred to in terms of when you arrive in Madinah al-Munawwarah, you stock the fridge, drinks, you know, some fruit, etc., to cover kind of your lunch, right? And naturally your food at whatever the exchange rate is. We normally do Big Mac index for the professionals here, but we don't have time for that today. SubhanAllah, and then laundry, and then SubhanAllah, there's minimum travel expense in the first week because in Madinah al-Munawwarah, the only out-of-pocket travel expense is, like I shared earlier on, if you want to truly benefit from the trip, then you're going to do stuff on days other than when the group is doing it, so that you leverage off the nuances of those particular days in Madinah al-Munawwarah. We covered Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whatever other ibadah you want, maybe shopping. Good. Second week, in-transit expenses. Between Madinah al-Munawwarah and Makkah al-Mukarramah, whether you're taking the train or whether you're going by road, you would encounter some expenses, right? On the train, same like the plane, right? All refreshments are at a premium. So you can buy coffee and stuff on the high-speed train. Brothers, if you're going to be in Ihram on the train, it's very cold because the train is very fast. So make sure that extra piece of Ihram that you know, between every 2 brothers, you should have 1 piece. Like you be the guy who's volunteering to carry the extra piece. Keep it as a shawl, you'll need it on the high-speed train. You make dua for me when you see the Kaaba for the first time. Alhamdulillah, he told me to take an extra piece of Ihram. Good. Umrah expenses. What's Umrah expenses? But my package is fully paid. On the back of every Umrah, you need to shave your hair at a cost. And when you finish Umrah, you will be famished, male or female. So, to translate it to an easy English word, you will be hungry. Yes. So you must budget for this. Haircut plus a meal. And get the meal before you return to the room. Because when you return to the room, you are, as they would say, in your chops. You ain't going to come down again. Understand? So before you return to the room after Umrah, purchase the meal. Okay, setup costs. Once again, you're in a new city, you need to stock the fridge, and then your laundry, and then subhanAllah, your food expenses. Once again, first week in Makkah al-Mukarramah, minimum travel expense. Okay, so you get the idea behind most of the bullets, right? Now, the second bullet here, welcome home cost. The most economic Hajj packages have you moving to Azizia on the 20th of Dhul Qa'dah. I think those are the offerings in South Africa this year. So I speak of Azizia as welcome home cost because the majority portion of almost all of our Hajj trips are spent with Azizia as our base. So it's definitely a step down from the 5-star hotels in Madinah al-Munawwarah and Makkah al-Mukarramah. Even if you're staying in a hotel in Azizia, it's nowhere the same standard as Madinah al-Munawwarah and Makkah al-Mukarramah. So either linen you need to see to, or cleaning detergents you need to see to, and this is home. So make it as comfortable as possible, subhanAllah, to facilitate your ibadah. Yeah, someone needs to do the laundry. Brothers, the trick here for laundry expenses throughout the trip is inner clothes you launder yourself and outer clothing you send to the laundry. But brothers launder their own inner clothing. Sisters, I hope you're taking note. They must wash their own boxes. Each person, subhanAllah, is responsible for themselves on Hajj, and the other person also needs to make ibadah. Even though they're your spouse, they're not here, subhanAllah, to clean up after you. I'm addressing primarily the brothers. I normally do a 1-hour session on how you should be a good mahram. So Marana, you know, they have ladies only Hajj classes. We have a men's only parallel session for the brothers. Good. Split the ride and not the fare. So split the ride and the fare, traveling from Azizia to Makkah. For those who are going to Azizia on the 20th and 25th of Dhul Qa'dah, you cannot travel so many thousand kilometers from home, subhanAllah, and be 8 kilometers away from the haram and not go to the haram once a day. When you actually evaluate those budget packages, they're not so budget. Because if you go to the haram every day, you could have just stayed in Makkah for the same price. Good. Anyway, it's too late for that because you've locked in your choices already. That's the 3rd week. 4th week, Azizia, food, to haram or not to haram. We spoke about traveling to the haram every day. You haven't done it yet. Someone will do the laundry. And subhanAllah, pass me my purse. Right. So these are the 10 most auspicious consecutive days of the Hijri calendar. The 1st to the 10th of Dhul Hijjah. You know how you can for the last 10 of Ramadan? Wallahi, you should can for these first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. And you are more fortunate than every other ummati. The playing fields in the last 10 of Ramadan are equal. But the playing fields on the first 10 of Dhul Hijjah, you are differentiated. You in the A-League. Because you're a Hajj. And even before being a Hajj, you are in Makkah al-Mukarramah. So Azizia is a shopping suburb. It's a residential suburb of Makkah al-Mukarramah that the Makkans use to shop. That's what's happening on the street. It's like Christmas in a Western marketplace. Yes, you must buy gifts for people, but don't lose the essence of what these days are. So we've put that as a line item there, bullet number 4, to do some shopping, but that's not your core thrust in these days. 5th week, still in Azizia, going to start Hajj. Is there a different menu? You get tired of all the outlets by now. So you need to start getting a bit creative. To haram or not to haram, you need to go to the haram, laundry, and then subhanAllah, you start asking yourself, do we have any money left? And that's what these slides are going to address in one summary slide, and then we close for the evening. All right? And then Hajj preparation. So umbrella. Maybe you need to up your sunshades, anti-glare. Whatever all nitty-gritty, you need a Hajj mat for Muzdalifah. Those are the expenses that you'll encounter in this week before Hajj. Then we go to week 6, which is your days of Hajj. Food and drinks are pre-arranged, but you need to supplement drinks. It is extremely hot. The thumb rule on the days of Hajj from an energy management perspective is to drink more and eat less. Eat just enough to keep your stomach bound so you don't have loose stools. You know, they give you these medicine packs, right? They normally have, subhanAllah, all this medication in there because you're wondering, like, how come does everyone get diarrhea? Because they don't manage the fiber content in their digestive system, and that's how they'll end up with loose stools, not because you get sick. So eat enough to keep your stomach bound, but drink. Flavored, unflavored, carbonated, uncarbonated, zamzam, not zamzam, drink all the time. We hydrate best when we take small sips. So downing a whole 500 ml, subhanAllah, of water is not called hydration. right? Your cells need to, subhanAllah, absorb the water. So 3 sips, small sips, which is a sunnah that we learn from Muhammad Sallallahu often, up until you complete the bottle, is how you would hydrate best. To and from Makkah, a very important expense that people sometimes miss. Your travel to Makkah to go and complete your tawaf, ziyarah, and your sa'i is normally not arranged by your group because everyone goes to make the tawaf and sa'i at different times. And this is the most expensive trip you will make from Azizia to Makkah or from the places of Hajj to Makkah. Because the demand on the road is for all 3.5 million, 4 million charge. So they're not charging you because they're charging exorbitant fees. They're charging you not for the distance, but for the time. So budget for this. The Makkah meal. You would have been living out on the open on the days of Hajj. You come to civilization, buildings, lights, subhanAllah, food outlets. After completing a tawaf and sa'i, treat yourself to a very big meal at a fancy place because you also want to celebrate completing all the huge elements on your Hajj, right? And then your transport back to your lodgings after Hajj if you don't stay a walking distance from Mina on the 6th day of Hajj. This will make sense to you in tomorrow's presentation when you cover the days of Hajj. Then week 7, as I mentioned, the facilities and the services of the operators end the day Hajj ends. Not because they like, okay, Jazakumullah khair and you made Hajj, you're not our problem. No, the operators have small teams. They are staffed in a ratio of 1 to 50 Hujjaj. Would you want them to be serving you lunch and dinner, or would you want them to be making sure that your departure from the airport is smooth and seamless? Naturally, the latter. So they move the focus of their teams to the logistics surrounding your departure, and hence they are unable to provide meals for you in the main, except the ballers who are dropping $250,000 per person. Alhamdulillah, they still get lunch and dinner. All right? Luggage preparation. So here, we spoke about tying the stuff in your ihram, but remember the 2 extra bags that you bought in Madinah al-Munawwarah? Those maybe you need to shrink wrap them or send them via courier, right? And then haram one more time. So it's also a big expense. In the fiqh of Imam Shafi, Imam Malik, Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, you have up until the end of your life to make the tawaf and sa'i of Hajj. For us as Ahnaf, we have to complete this by sunset of the 5th day. But the loading on the haram for weeks after Hajj remains because other people are still completing the tawaf ziyarah. So your trip to the haram for tawaf al-wada will also require expense and will also take a good amount of time because you'll be thinking, but like, I'm flying 4 days after Hajj. Why is the haram still so busy? People are still completing the Hajj. Here's a hack that I'm sure your operator hasn't shared with you. You know the story about faking ihram to be on the mataf? Let me see some smiles. Yeah, you don't have to do that. You know why? From the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, when Arafah ends, the haram is free reign to everyone in and out of ihram. Because your tawaf of Hajj is done in ihram, out of ihram. Out of ihram. So they have no way of saying, oh no, Abdul Rahman, you finished tawaf ziyarah, you can't be on the mataf. Free reign. You don't need to cheat to be on the mataf, brothers. You can be all the time on the mataf in civilian clothing from the time Hajj ends. So if you could, I would encourage you fly back a few days later and spend extra time legitimately on the mataf. Good. Haram for tawaf al-wada. Zamzam, 12 odd riyals. I see my marker, 2 minutes remaining, inshallah. And then your transit meals on the return. Let's look at all of this in a summary slide. Subhanallah. So that's everything I've shared with you, week 1 to week 7, right? And this is the ratio. Each of us have different budgets. So important thing you want to take out of this last 8 slides is this ratio. So that's more or less the ratio in which you should apportion whatever it is that Allah has given you to spend on Hajj. If you run more or less by this ratio, inshallah, you won't find yourself out of pocket. So the idea of figuratively 6 neat envelopes for 6 weeks on Hajj doesn't work. Because some weeks are heavier on the pocket than others. If you do your maths correctly, I think this comes out to 9.75. Right, so take your budget, divide it by 9.75, drop it into those weeks, and then you should be sorted. Naturally, for those of you traveling shorter trips, you'll keep week 1 because that's your week in Madinah al-Munawwarah. You'll maybe drop week 3 and week 4, right? And then you'll keep week 1, week 5, week 6, week 7, just to give you an idea of how you apportion your expenses. Yeah, now it's for real. We're done. Subhanallah, bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika.